Chapter 444. Dinkan's face instantly turned pale. She was so angry that her body trembled. Dinkan was ashamed to make such a fool of herself in front of so many people. However, the girls from Sci-Fi sect burst into laughter. Seeing Dinkan like this, they felt a burst of joy. Even Wei Hai felt a little happy. He had never liked Dinkan, but because of her special identity, he had no choice. But now, Lin Feng helped him vent his anger. She is very smart, but unfortunately, she has a vicious heart. Wei Hai shook his head gently. Dinkan came from a famous family. Her talent was better than Ding Qing's, but she liked to take shortcuts. Therefore, her achievements were neither high nor low. Linwen, are you a man or not? Dinkan bit her lips and stomped her feet in anger. However, Lin Feng turned a blind eye to it. He did not have a good impression of this beautiful girl in front of him. Love the house and its crow, and hate the house as well. With regards to this senior sister Xian, just from her performance just now, he already knew her character. Beauty trap? Would it work on him? When it was time to act, he would not hesitate. After 2 rounds of elimination, the 160 warriors in Area 6 were reduced to 40. The remaining warriors were all elites of the elites. As the competition approached, they were all rubbing their hands and concentrating. There were only 2 battles left before the top 100. Failure at this time was no different from being eliminated in the first round. Only by entering the top 100 could they truly stand out in the elite martial competition. Obtaining the title of Elite Warrior would be of great help to these warriors' future in Green Smoke City. This was a hurdle that everyone wanted to cross. But how could it be so easy? Soon, Lin Feng suddenly opened his eyes and stood up. At this time, the identity card in his pocket was already shining, agile and light. It meant that the 3rd round of the competition had officially begun. Other than Lin Feng, the identity cards of 7 warriors in Area 6 lit up at the same time, including Ding Kan's expression kept changing. His eyes darted around as he watched Lin Feng's back. He bit his lip. Wah! Lin Feng entered the arena. His expression was calm and composed, like an old tree with roots. It's much quieter this time. Lin Feng smiled faintly. This time, there was no noise from the audience. He decided to stop while he was ahead. The 900 soul coins were already in his hands. As the saying goes, things should not be done more than 3 times. Now that he was about to cause public outrage, there was no need for him to earn this kind of money. Besides, the first match might have been due to luck. Winning 2 matches in a row and defeating Li Liang in a single move, his strength had already been exposed. For Ding Kan's battle, the odds had become extremely low. After all, in terms of strength, Ding Kan was far inferior to Li Liang. They're here. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The light membrane flickered and broke apart. Ding Kan's figure appeared before them. That slightly pale face looked pitiful. Those who didn't know might be deceived, but he was well aware. Since the first plan didn't work, another one. Lin Feng pondered. This woman was truly formidable. She knew how to display and make use of her advantages. That sickly appearance of hers truly brought out the weak side of a woman. At this moment, the white-clothed man, appeared in a flash. Without waiting for him to speak, Lin Feng had already leapt backwards. Like a gentle breeze, he landed in the fixed cylindrical circle of light. Repeat the rules. Defeat the opponent or knock the opponent out of the arena, and that is your victory. Don't overdo it. You're not allowed to kill the opponent when they have lost the ability to resist. Those who kill will be disqualified and punished. The white-clothed man looked at Lin Feng and Ding Kan, his eyes sparkling. After the bell rings, the competition will officially begin. After speaking, the white-clothed man left. He came and went without a trace. The moment he left, a clear bell rang. Dang! Lin Feng's eyes instantly lit up. The battle had begun. Like a whirlwind, Lin Feng rushed forward in a flash. He didn't hold back at all. Just like the battle with Li Liang, he had the advantage by striking first. No matter who the opponent was, he would treat them equally. Emperor Shun's Qi. Lin Feng shouted softly. In an instant, the strong Qi of heaven and earth condensed, and wrapped around his body like a spiral. Along with the rotation of his soul, the innate black fog instantly condensed and spread out with his body as the center, forming a complete and unique space. The power of close combat was displayed to the extreme. Green Lotus Sword art. Dinkin gritted his teeth and immediately went forward. All of his schemes were useless. The young man in front of him was like a 1,000-year-old ice cube, without the slightest emotion. The difference in aura was huge. On Lin Feng's side, it was firm and fierce like a hurricane. On Ding Can's side, it was like a spring breeze, and its power was greatly reduced. What a terrifying aura. Ding Can's expression changed. Only after experiencing it personally did he realize how terrifying Lin Feng was. That was a true expert who had experienced hundreds of battles. This trash sect disciple, who was once like a fool in her eyes, made her deeply shocked. Too strong. Dragon Sun Spear art. Lin Feng's eyes trembled. The Nightmare Demon Spear vibrated loudly, bringing with it a sharp wind. Facing Ding Can, who was much weaker than Li Liang, Lin Feng did not show any mercy. Just like what he said to Pei Hong. He could not bear to do it? What a joke. Boom! A sharp explosion occurred. Deep in the black fog, Ding Can felt as if she had entered swamp. Her strength was already inferior to Lin Feng's by a large margin, and now she was like a turtle in a jar, completely trapped. Her eyes were filled with darkness, and her heart was filled with terror. She couldn't even use 30% of her sword intent. The sword light was weak and powerless, just like Ding Can's confidence at this moment. She completely collapsed. A strong battle intent wrapped around her. She, who had never experienced such a battle, was already scared out of her wits. Almost instantly, a crazy, huge force attacked. Ding Can felt his head explode, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The world spun, and the scene of Lin Feng holding the Nightmare Demon Spear flashed before his eyes. Instantly, a sharp pain attacked his heart, and his organs felt like they were on fire. He fainted in the blink of an eye. Wah! The light barrier broke, and Ding Can's weak body flew out. The entire audience was silent. Everyone had guessed that this was a match without any suspense. But when they saw it for themselves, they were all deeply shocked. Lin Feng's strength was truly terrifying. They were both Star River class level 7, but Ding Can was like he had just learned how to walk in front of him. He was not a match at all. Li Liang could still resist a little at that time, but Ding Can did not have the strength to resist at all. Complete defeat. Lin Feng stood firm. His eyes were burning, and his body was as immovable as a mountain. The Nightmare Demon Spear's body flashed with heat. Lin Feng looked at the falling Ding Can, and a stream of energy flashed past his right hand. The unconscious Ding Can landed on the ground, and a cloud of dust flew. But the cushion before she landed prevented her injuries from worsening. Lin Feng's eyes flashed, and then he closed his eyes and shook his head. Although he did not show any mercy to Ding Can during the battle, one thing was another. He was still soft-hearted. At least, she did not do anything too outrageous to him. Forget it. There's no need to care too much, Lin Feng said. This time, her injuries are not light. It can be considered as helping Xian or vent her anger. Lin Feng opened his eyes, stepped on the ground with his right foot, and flew out of the arena. In the resting room, Pei Hong and the others were jubilant. Although he knew that Lin Feng would win this match, he still couldn't help but feel excited when he was about to win. Third round, victory. Entering the top 200 of the elite martial competition. To the Colored Jade sect, which had always been at the bottom of the first round, this was a historic breakthrough. Pei Hong clenched her fists, and her eyes flashed. Originally, she had no choice but to give the spot to Lin Feng. But now, it seemed that it was too wise. It was a lucky hit. Although Lin Feng was not a disciple of the Colored Jade sect, this time, he had firmly made a name for the Colored Jade sect. The Colored Jade sect was no longer a trash sect. Whoosh! Lin Feng's figure suddenly appeared with a faint smile. All the warriors in the resting room looked at Lin Feng with fear. After 3 battles, Lin Feng had used his strength to completely prove himself. He was very strong, Let's go. Lin Feng stepped over and said with a smile. Since the battle had bin completed, there was no need to stay any longer. It was still early before the afternoon battle. Lindigo, aren't you going to look at your opponent for the fourth battle? Pei Qing asked in surprise. No need. Lin Feng smiled faintly, waved his hand lightly, and stepped out of the door. Everyone in the colored jade sect looked at each other. None of them could help but feel their hearts palpitate. This kind of calm confidence was enough to make people feel shocked. In a reflection tower, Lindigo, your opponent for the fourth round is out. Little Jade shouted. Oh, Lin Feng was surprised, thought for a while, and nodded. That's right, the number of participants was reduced by more than half, so the speed of the battle was naturally fast. Who is it? Pei Hong opened her eyes wide and asked anxiously, is it Fei Jin from the Golden Sand sect or Ji Hui from the Qilin Fire Valley? The order of the battle was already out. What they saw was only the answer of one of the two. It's Ji Hui from the Qilin Fire Valley, Little Jade said. In a split second, Pei Hong and Pei Qing's expressions changed. Lin Feng smiled faintly and did not care. In fact, whether it was Fei Jin or Ji Hui, he had already seen their information. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. Let's go. Lin Feng pulled Pei Hong over. Let's practice the spear. Pei Hong was a little stunned. Lin Feng, aren't you going to prepare? Ji Hui is a rare fire spirit master in the Yinling Mansion. That's right, Linda Gu. Pei Qing said worriedly. That Ji Hui was a big dark horse last year, entering the top 100 at the 7th stage of the galaxy level. This year, he cultivated to the peak of the galaxy level, and it's rumored that he's only one step away from breaking through to the galaxy level. He's not my opponent. Lin Feng smiled faintly. Everyone was astounded, as they never imagined that Lin Feng would speak such arrogant words. At this moment, Lin Feng had already pulled the slightly dazed Pei Hong and directly walked into the martial practice hall. Fire Spirit Master? Don't need to worry, I'm not in a good state. I've been coding since 2 p.m. I'm sleepy for a while, and my head hurts. Xiao Xiao is so depressed. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to become a Chidian. Come to vote. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 445. There was a short break, although Lin Wen was in the limelight, and everyone knew about him. But this time, all the public opinion was on the side of Ji Hui. Last year, he was a dark horse in the top 100. This year, he was known as one of the strongest 32 warriors and a strong contender for the top 32. His strength was comparable to the Star Sea level. The gambling area was bustling with noise and excitement. The odds of Lin Feng and Ji Hui reached 2:51:38. The difference was second only to the Battle of Hu Pao in the entire 6th zone. It could be said that it was one of the matches with the least suspense, but the result was shocking. No one expected that Lin Feng would win with an absolute advantage. Ji Hui's big fireball was completely useless in front of Lin Feng. Until the last moment, he still didn't understand why Lin Feng was like the Zhu Rong Witch clan, not afraid of fire at all. He defeated him in close combat. It was like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves. Great, great. Pei Hong clenched her right fist, her face full of excitement. Even if Linda Gu enters the top 100, you don't have to be so excited, sister. Pei Qing covered her mouth and laughed. Indeed, this was completely different from Pei Hong's personality. Senior Sister Qing, I'm also very excited. Listen, my heartbeat hasn't calmed down yet. Xiao Lu's face was full of stars. She thought of Lin Feng's battle in the afternoon. Like a god descending to the mortal world, he directly beat Ji Hui into a sieve in front of everyone. She was so excited. She thought of the audience. At that time, it was completely silent. Everyone was stunned. Even Lei Dao, who had always been the calmest, had bright eyes. He gently wiped the huge saber, and his small face was full of fighting spirit. The elite martial arts competition was getting more and more exciting. The battle between the strong made people's blood boil. Pei Hong smiled mysteriously and then took out something from her pocket. Suddenly, a faint light shone. Several small round light spots appeared in front of them. Everyone was stunned. They widened their eyes, and their chests rose and fell violently. As far as they could see, there were 10 soul coins. Senior Sister Hong, this is... Xiao Lu was shocked. Big sister, could it be that you... Pei Qing's beautiful eyes sparkled as she exclaimed in surprise. Pei Hong smiled proudly. I bet all my money on the lottery. After 2 matches, 3 doling coins became 10. Especially in the last match, I made a huge profit. The odds of 2. 5 were indeed astonishing. Wow! Little Jade's eyes lit up. Big sister, you're really bold. Pei Qing shook his head. Pei Hongsa smiled and kept the 10 soul coins. To Lin Feng, perhaps 100 Do spirit coins were not even worth mentioning. But to the poor Saiyu sect, these 10 Do spirit coins were extremely important. It was enough to bring the sect back to life. Others didn't know, but Pei Hong clearly knew Lin Feng's true strength. She had been worried about Ji Hui, but when she heard Lin Feng's arrogant words, she no longer hesitated. For some reason, he was filled with trust in Lin Feng. In the training hall, Lin Feng was in seclusion alone, sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. There was no need for more practice. After the continuous battles with Pei Hong, he already had a clear direction for the entire set of spear techniques. The word entanglement was very clear. Whether it was the spear form or the spear intent, he had already comprehended everything. What he lacked now was to find a key point that was compatible and perfectly compatible with the two. Just like 2 different liquids, to fuse, it required a certain step and a certain method. And this depended on practice and comprehension. Time was completely enough. Entering the top 100, there was 3 days of rest. To other martial artists, 3 days was very short and passed in the blink of an eye. But to Lin Feng, it was enough to raise his strength to another level. 3 days is enough. At that time, I'll have to face stronger enemies and more intense battles. But no matter who it is, I don't want to lose. Lin Feng's heart was filled with firm belief. His goal was not only to enter the top 32 and obtain the soul attraction technique. 9 Dragons Arena. The 4th round of the competition ended with a bang. The top 100 of the elite martial competition was out. Some people were happy, and some people were sad. The most sad was undoubtedly the famous Wolfpack Valley. Their disciple with the most potential had lost. Tan Lang, the 2nd place of last year's elite martial competition, had met a true dark horse in this year's elite martial competition. Jixia. This mysterious youth, after killing a top 100 contestant in the 3rd round, he had the biggest upset in the 4th round. In just 3 moves, with unparalleled strength, he completely defeated Tan Lang. Everyone was dumbfounded. In comparison, Lin Feng's victory over Ji Hui paled in comparison. All of Greensmoke City was discussing that match and Jixia. His fame had spread far and wide, and the beautiful girl beside him was only slightly weaker than him. Defeating one of last year's top 10 contestants in the 4th round was completely effortless. The 2 mysterious people became the most lively topic. On the top floor, in a luxurious private room. Martial Uncle is indeed Martial Uncle. Each disciple that you nurture is stronger than the other. Respect, respect. LV Ning showed a flattering smile and praised. Sima Shi smiled slightly and was also satisfied. Xiao's performance is indeed not bad. Qian is still not used to fighting. Sima Shi's eyes were bright. This kind of training is very helpful for them. This time it's all thanks to you, little Ning. Martial Uncle, you're too polite. We're family. Lu Mang smiled. Sima, she gave a non-committal smile. Little nephew seems to have entered the top 100 as well, right? Yes, Martial Uncle. LV Ning's eyes suddenly brightened. The corners of Sima, she's mouth curled up slightly as he nodded. He waved his long sleeves and left. His indifferent voice echoed in the air. If you enter the top 32, I will help you and let my little nephew enter the inner sect of Fierce Yen School as a return of your favor. LV Ning was instantly overjoyed. He was pleasantly surprised. Compared to his uncertainty last time, this time, Sima Shi's words were very convincing. With his status as the protector of the Yen School, it was easy to arrange an inner sect disciple. In Green Smoke City, his son LV Bao was at most the lord of half of the city. If he entered Li Yin's school, it would be like a carp leaping through the Dragon Gate with a bright future. How could a small city like Green Smoke City compare to the true power of the Yanling Prefecture? LV Zhen, LV Ning shouted. Subordinate is here. A strong man with eagle eyes stepped out. Young master, what's the rest of the competition schedule? LV Ning's eyes shone brightly. Reporting to clan leader, young master's luck is good. He only needs to fight one battle to enter the top 32. The second battle will be a bye, and he will directly enter the top 32. LV Zhen cupped his hands and said, Oh, LV Ning was delighted. Who is his opponent? Disciple of Tsayu's sect, Lin Wan, in the reflection tower. This is so infuriating. Ding Lan was like an angry lioness, furious. Thinking about how Lin Feng defeated her cleanly in front of millions of people, she felt that she had lost all her face. This was her first time participating in the elite martial arts competition. Yet, it ended like this. Wei Hai's face was expressionless, and he didn't say a word. With Ding Lan's strength, there was no doubt that she would lose to Lin Feng. In front of absolute strength, all tricks were useless. Lin Feng had mastered the essence of the Sun Dragon Spear art. His strength was comparable to a star's sea-level existence. However, how did Lin Feng defeat senior brother sect leader? Wei Hao was curious. Just as he was thinking, Pada, the door was pushed open, and a burst of laughter sounded. Ding Hong walked in with Li Ming, talking and laughing. His face was full of joy. Following behind them were Ding Ding and Ding Qing. Although they weren't as happy as Ding Hong and Li Ming, they still had a faint smile on their faces. They were obviously in a good mood. Senior brother, elder, you're back, Wei Hai said with a smile. Sect master, great elder. Dinkin hastily bowed. Ding Hong laughed heartily. Junior brother, our Rising Wind Valley finally entered the top 100. Li Ming did well. Huh? Li Ming smiled and nodded. It's all because of master's guidance. Wei Hai smiled. Congratulations, senior brother. Li Ming did well this time, Ding Ding said with a solemn face. Ding Ding said solemnly. His solemn face revealed a rare smile, and he suddenly sighed regretfully. It's a pity that Qing lost the last battle. Otherwise, our Windrise Valley would be able to hold our heads high in this elite competition. Qing, failed to live up to your expectations. Please punish me, Ding Qing said softly. It's not your fault. Ding Ding shook his head. Your opponent was stronger than you. It's normal that you lost. Suddenly, Ding Ding looked at Ding Kansas. What about you, Ken? Me. Ding Lan's face reddened. Wei Hai said, Lan tried her best. Great elder, she lost the third round. Her opponent was stronger than her. Ding Ding's face didn't change. He nodded. Not bad. It's your first time participating. It's already an improvement to make it to the third round. Lan, you're still young. Learn from this experience and come again next year. Your results will be better than this. Yes, grandfather. Ding Lan let out a long breath. She could finally put down the stone in her heart. She was most afraid of this grandfather. Li Ming said with a smile. Actually, there are advantages to losing. If I had entered the top 100, according to the schedule, I would have had to fight against my junior sister. That would have been troublesome. Everyone laughed when they heard this. The atmosphere was very harmonious. Ding Lan looked at Li Ming, her eyes full of admiration. She nodded. Senior brother Li, you must avenge Lan? Don't worry. Li Ming patted his chest and said proudly, that trash sect is nothing. Good. Ding Hong shouted with satisfaction. My disciple should have this kind of courage. Yes, senior brother Li will definitely enter the top 32 this time. Ding Lan smiled. Everyone felt confident. Li Ming had Star Ocean level strength and the full support of the entire Rising Wind Valley. He did have the ability, but many times, accidents happen one after another. Looking at everyone who was in a good mood, Wei Hai smiled, but there was a different kind of helplessness in his eyes. Li Ming wanted to enter the top 32, but there was a figure in front of him. It was like an iron wall, firmly blocking his way. I'm not in good condition. I only have 2 updates today. Please forgive me. Tomorrow, Xiao Xiao will write at least one word. I'll try to make up for it by 4. If you like this work, you are welcome to Kamachidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 446. The Nine-Dragon Arena was bustling with noise and excitement. The first 2 days of the elite martial competition were just a delicious appetizer. All the martial artists in Green Smoke City knew that the real essence of the martial competition would begin on the 6th day. The top 100. Those who exceeded 13 were Star C ranks. The other 23 were basically peak Star River ranks. The number of Star River rank 7 martial artists was less than one hand. They usually relied on the convenience of the competition schedule to enter the final round. To these martial artists, being able to obtain the title of elite martial artist was already a great gain. If they wanted to enter the top 32 and obtain the truly luxurious rewards, they would have to be extremely lucky. See, you still say that my luck is bad. Hee hee. Pei Hong had a smug look on her face. Senior Sister Hong, it's obvious that Linda Gu is strong. That's why he managed to overcome all obstacles without any mishaps. How is this related to luck? Little Jade pinched her nose lightly. Who said so? Pei Hong placed her hands on her hips. At least I didn't get the 13 Star C ranks that entered the top 100, right? Pei Qing smiled and said, Sister is right. This time, our luck is not bad. After all, Linda Gu is only a Star River rank 7. No matter how strong he is, it's not good for him to encounter a Star C rank. Pei Qing's eyes lit up as she said softly, after entering the top 100, Linda Ge's first battle will be troublesome. Pei Hong heard this and became listless. There's no choice. He can't avoid it. More than half of the first round of the competition have Star C ranks. Little Jade clenched her small fists. Linda Gu will definitely win. Pei Hong and Pei Qing exchanged glances and shook their heads, revealing a helpless smile. They also hoped that Lin Feng would win, but it was easier said than done. Lu residence. In the bathtub, the water vapor was spreading. Lu Bao's naked body was lying by the side of the pool, comfortably. Beside him, many beautiful girls were gently massaging him. As the young master of the Lu family, Lu Bao had endless glory and wealth. Innie's life was enviable. Young master, don't we need to prepare for the competition? A coquettish voice sounded as the beautiful girl beside him peeled grapes and placed them into Lu Bao's mouth. What can you prepare in 3 days? LV Bao closed his eyes, the corners of his mouth rising indifferently. Young master, I have plenty of strength. I don't need to rush at the last minute. Chewing the grape and swallowing it, LV Bao suddenly revealed a smile. What are you so happy about, young master? The vixen asked curiously. Xiao Tao, your young master will be able to enter the Li Yin School's inner sect this time. LV Bao opened his eyes, which shone brightly. The seductive woman, Xiao Tao, sneered. Is it the sect that dominates the Yanling prefecture? Young master, you're amazing. Of course. LV Bao smiled proudly. As long as we win the first round of the competition, we'll definitely be promoted. Young master, it seems like victory is in your grasp. You're full of confidence. Xiao Tao smiled charmingly. Isn't it easy to win the first round? Lu Bao said proudly. A mere level 7 Cosmic River Warrior is already lucky enough to make it to the main competition. The color Jade Sex Linwen? It's his bad luck to encounter me. I'm a level 1 Cosmic Sea State. Young master, you're so amazing. Xiao Tao's face was full of stars, filled with admiration. Haha, Xiao Tao, I'm even better in other areas. LV Bao suddenly got up and pressed Xiao Tao down. He revealed a smirk and tore off the thin veil on Xiao Tao's body. Instantly, her body was exposed and her face was flushed. You're so naughty, young master. Huh, LV Bao laughed loudly. In a mist, it was filled with the sound of heavy breathing and low growls. Her body rippled and her mind was in a mess. Time passed by slowly. The entire Green Smoke City was immersed in a lively atmosphere. Everyone was looking forward to the arrival of the main competition of the elite martial competition. The bets at the various bookstores were rising continuously, reaching a shocking number. As for the warriors who made it to the main competition, they were all rubbing their palms, adjusting themselves to their best condition. Only a minority, like LV Bao, were present. The hope of the sect was condensed. Every warrior was full of energy, looking forward to entering the top 32. Whether it was for themselves or for the sect, it was a valuable asset. After all, not all sects were like the LV family and the Fong family, who didn't have to worry about fame or fortune. Clang, clang. The two swords danced in an airtight manner. His blue eyes flickered with aggressive power. Ji Xia's sword intent poured out and landed on the transparent and shiny dagger in front of him. The continuous attacks forced Qin Qianqian to retreat, unable to block at all. Clack, the dagger was instantly knocked out. Qin Qianqian groaned, and his face turned pale. "Senior brother, you've hurt me." Qin Qianqian pouted. "It's inevitable to get injured when sparring," Ji Xia said softly as he sheathed his swords. "Really, senior brother, you're already so powerful. Why are you cultivating so hard?" Qin Qianqian muttered. Ji Xia sheathed his swords and looked at Qin Qianqian. He said seriously, "The path of a warrior is like sailing against the current. If you don't advance, you'll fall behind. You and I have just started. Not to mention the entire Yanling prefecture, even this small green smoke city might have warriors stronger than us in this elite martial competition." "Really? Senior brother, you're lying to me again." Qin Qianqian snorted. "It's up to you to believe it or not." Ji Xia smiled. As he spoke, Lin Feng's appearance appeared in Ji Xia's mind. He was slightly surprised. Wasn't he only at the galaxy level rank 7? Why do I feel afraid? Ji Xia frowned slightly, but he couldn't figure out the reason. Then Ji Xia shook his head and stopped thinking about it. "I'm going into seclusion. Junior sister, you should cultivate well too. Don't let master down." "I know. You're so long-winded." Qin Qianqian pouted. Reflection Tower, 2-star suite. The star suites all had their own cultivation room. Perhaps it wasn't as spacious as the 7-star suites, but it was enough for normal cultivation. Star power is the power of the stars. Comprehending star power can greatly improve your strength. The biggest difference between the galaxy level and the galaxy level is the existence of star power. In the cultivation room, Ding Hong was patiently teaching Li Ming. At this moment, Li Ming was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. He looked very serious. There was a faint light outside his body, and the qi of heaven and earth surrounded him. Cold sweat kept dripping from his forehead. Suddenly, Li Ming opened his eyes and kept panting. "I still can't, master." Li Ming looked gloomy. "Take it slow. Don't rush." Ding Hong comforted him. "It takes a long time to comprehend star power. But master, the 3-day break is over. Tomorrow is the first round of the competition." Li Ming frowned slightly. "I'm just holding on to hope." Ding Hong smiled faintly. "How can you comprehend star power in just 3 days? If you can really comprehend star power, you can easily enter the top 10, let alone the top 32. I'm too impatient, so I want you to try." "I'm sorry to disappoint you, master." Li Ming pretended to be upset. Ding Hong smiled and patted Li Ming's shoulder. "You have a long way to go. Maybe you can't make it in time for the competition, but you will comprehend star power sooner or later. The Grand Elder and I have studied the first 2 rounds for you. There aren't any strong opponents. As long as you master the use of the solitary field, it won't be a problem for you to enter the top 32. "Yes, master." Li Ming clenched his fists, his eyes shining. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Night fell. Lin Feng sat cross-legged in the cultivation room for 3 whole days. He didn't move at all. He was like a statue with his eyes closed, without any signs of life. However, Lin Feng, on the other hand, was completely immersed in the comprehension of the spear. At every moment, a silhouette of a person and a gun would appear in his mind. He performed the spear very quickly. Every step was simplified, and the spear intent was more vivid. "It doesn't feel right. It's different from what I expected. Almost. But it's still missing a bit of feeling." Lin Feng tried again and again to find the perfect point. It was like putting two pieces of wood together, looking for the perfect direction and angle. It required trial and error. It also required enough patience. For 3 days, Lin Feng was completely immersed in his own world. In fact, time didn't matter at all. He was so focused on comprehending the spear that he couldn't feel the passage of time. Failure was the mother of success. Lin Feng understood this very well. He didn't give up at all. He knew that no matter how many forks there were, as long as he walked to the end, it would be a complete road. Suddenly, Lin Feng finally opened his eyes. He picked up the nightmare demon spear on the ground. It made a clanging sound like cold iron. With the buzzing sound, Lin Feng's eyes were shining. He seemed to be affected by a strange force. His eyes were full of brilliance. Chi, chi, chi. The nightmare demon spear moved. The spear intent flashed fiercely. In his mind, the scene of his first battle with Pei Hong appeared. The long whip danced like a snake. It was soft and gentle. The nightmare demon spear seemed to overlap with the shadow of the long whip. Hard and soft. It was a complete combination. At this moment, the spear was the whip, and the whip was the spear. Bind. Lin Feng's eyes suddenly brightened. A strong aura energy shot out. In the shadow, the nightmare demon spear seemed to have turned into a long whip. The blurry shadow seemed to curve, as if it was a spiral. It didn't look like a spear at all, but the clanging sound wouldn't lie. The scorching aura and the fiery red spear had an extremely explosive feeling. The soft force turned into a hard force. Break! Lin Feng suddenly stepped out with his right foot. A gust of wind blew. The terrifying low pressure instantly condensed, forming the eye of a storm. The effect of a special killing technique. It was exactly the same as what Pei Hong had used. Boom! The violent explosion destroyed the surrounding airflow. Lin Feng held the spear and stopped at that moment. His eyes had regained their luster. A mist appeared on the nightmare demon spear in his hand, condensing the dense qi of heaven and earth. Lin Feng's mouth slowly curved up. He finally succeeded. Since it evolved from Pei Hong's storm whip technique, Lin Feng's eyes were bright. Then let's call it storm spear art. Xiao Xiao still has a cold. No wonder she had a headache yesterday. It's too accurate. Every time she has a cold, she has a headache. In order to recover quickly, Xiao Xiao directly put herself on an 4-drip. In the afternoon, she ate medicine and slept well. She's feeling pretty good now. I just finished writing a chapter. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 447. The night gradually dissipated and the sun rose. At this moment, outside the training hall, the 3 girls were waiting. It's been 3 days. Why hasn't Lin Feng moved at all? Pei Hong was the most impatient of the 3 girls. Lindigo must be doing his best to prepare for today's battle. Little Jade nodded. It's still early. An hour is more than enough. Pei Qing chuckled. With Lin Deji's personality, he won't appear until the last moment. Only Lei Dao didn't say a word and ate his breakfast quietly. His indifferent personality was being nurtured as the future successor of the Colored Jade sect. Suddenly, Lei Dao stopped eating and looked at the training hall. The door was pushed open. Lin Feng's indifferent figure fell into the eyes of the girls with a smile. All of a sudden, the women felt relieved and heaved a sigh of relief. It's been 3 days already? Lin Feng was surprised. Pei Hong and Pei Qing glanced at each other and were speechless. You don't even know how long you've been cultivating? Lin Feng shrugged, picked up the breakfast on the table, and ate. Oh, it tastes good. Lin Feng smiled. Now is not the time. When he first started cultivating, his body still needed to eat. But as his cells became more active, every part of his body had enough energy. Especially after he could absorb the qi of heaven and earth, the absorption of spirit qi could also make up for his body's strength, just like plants. Lindigo, are you confident in today's battle? Little Jade's eyes were bright, and she was very curious. Pei Hong, Pei Qing, and even Lei Dao looked over. Feeling everyone's gaze, Lin Feng smiled. Yes, The opponent is a level 1-star C-state warrior, Lin De. Little Jade exclaimed. So what? Lin Feng got up and stretched. Not to mention a level 1-star C-state warrior. Even the witch race would kill him without hesitation. Looking at the dazed girls, Lin Feng smiled, knowing that they must be doubtful and in disbelief. But was there a need to explain? 2 hours later, when the outcome of the battle was clear, everything would be clear. Let's go. Lin Feng's gaze was clear. 9 Dragons Arena. The crowd was already surging and boiling. After entering the main competition, the first round of the competition would be held on the second floor. Compared to the first floor, the second floor was much grander and more honorable. As for the second round, it would be held on the third level. This was a form of identity verification. Normally, the 9 Dragons Arena was an existence similar to an arena. All kinds of sparring and duels between martial artists were held here. Every level represented a higher status of a martial artist. Wow, the second floor. Little Jade looked around, her eyes sparkling. If Master knew that we were able to enter the second level of the 9 Dragon Arena and participate in the elite martial competition's main competition, he would definitely not believe it. Pei Hong laughed. This time, I brought honor to the colored jade sect. Pei Qing smiled slightly. Lin Feng, who was walking at the front, turned around and smiled. Maybe we'll enter the third floor in the afternoon. Pei Hong spat softly, bragging. Pei Qing chuckled and did not say anything, because she could not see through Lin Feng's strength at all. Lin De, you will definitely win. Little Jade clenched her small fist and cheered. Of course. Lin Feng's eyes lit up slightly. Soon, everyone walked through the corridor and entered a new area. On the top floor, in a luxurious private room. Bauer, remember, you can't lose this time. LV Ning's expression was solemn as he shouted in a deep voice. Don't worry, father. I won't let you down. LV Bao's eyes sparkled with a proud expression. A mere 7th-level galaxy-class martial artist. In less than 10 seconds, I will defeat him. It's good that you are confident, but remember to win beautifully. LV Ning praised. Your battle will be recorded and will be shown to the Li Yin sect master. If you perform well, he might be happy and accept you as his last disciple. That will bring honor to the sect. I will do my best. LV Bao was overjoyed. By the way, Bao have you seen Lin Wen's battle video? LV Ning suddenly asked. Yes. LV Bao answered without hesitation, but there was a knot in his heart. A mere 7th-level galaxy-class martial artist. In fact, he did not pay attention to him. He probably did not have much ability. LV Ning nodded. That's good. Don't underestimate him. Although Lin Wen is only a 7th-level galaxy-class martial artist, he should have activated Heroic Soul. He has a soul tool that increases speed, so his speed is quite fast. Also, be careful of the black fog he releases. It should be a type of support-type spirit treasure. Yes, father. LV Bao quickly answered. He secretly felt lucky that his father did not continue to ask. Otherwise, he would definitely be exposed. Stepping into the lounge, it was empty. It was completely different from the lounge on the first floor. This was like a large independent room. The room was very spacious and could accommodate hundreds of people. It was quite decorated, but there was only Lin Feng and the others. It seemed very lonely. There was a door on both sides of the room, and it was currently closed. After entering the door and passing through the contestants' passage, you will be able to enter the arena. Pei Hong introduced. Lin Feng nodded. After entering the competition, the contestants' standards in all aspects were improved. Take this lounge, for example. Only the contestants could enter. To a certain extent, it avoided a lot of unnecessary noise. It seems that he is not here yet. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He was very familiar with today's opponent. He had even fought with him once. When he first entered the Douling world and entered the Chaotic Mountain, he almost fought with a fire-skirt deer. LV Bao. Lin Feng muttered. LV Tian. What is Lin Wen's background? Walking the passage, LV Bao asked. Behind him, many martial artists followed closely. There was no lack of galaxy-class martial artists among them. As the young master of the LV family, he was naturally in the limelight. Young master, that Lin Wen is a disciple of the Sci-Fei sect. It is his first time participating this year. Although he is only in the 7th level of the Galaxy class, his strength is at the peak of the Galaxy class. LV Tian cupped his hands and said seriously, from the first 4 rounds of the competition, his attainment in spear techniques is quite high, and his attack power is extremely strong. However, this is a double-edged sword. Once he meets an opponent with a stronger attack power, he will not be able to win. So, LV Bao's eyes lit up. With young master's sword technique, you can completely defeat Lin Wen with your Galaxy-class strength. LV Tian nodded and said, the only thing to be careful is that he has a support-type spiritual treasure that can release black fog to reduce the enemy's speed. It is quite powerful. LV Bao nodded. He had heard about this from his father. However, which one of those who could enter the top 100 did not have some skills? How could the gap between the Galaxy class and the Galaxy class be so easily closed? As they spoke, they had already passed through the passage and entered a new area. A light flashed, and LV Bao led his followers in. Lin Feng. LV Bao was stunned. This young man in front of him was too familiar. Why was he here? LV Bao was a little confused and could not react. As far as he knew, Lin Feng was a member of the Rising Wind Valley. How could he? Young master, he is Lin Wen. LV Tian stepped forward and said softly. What? LV Bao was shocked. Impossible. He is clearly... Halfway through his words, he suddenly stopped. LV Bao was not stupid and immediately understood everything. Lin Feng, Lin Wen, the names are quite similar. LV Bao snorted coldly and looked at Lin Feng with a cold gaze. The corner of his mouth curved coldly with disdain and contempt. I was wondering who it was. So it is the bumpkin who treats the human class grade 8 spear technique like a treasure. LV Bao's memory of Lin Feng was very clear. When he obtained the video of Lin Feng and Li Ming's battle, he was already clear of his strength. He originally wanted to go to the Rising Wind Valley to teach this ignorant bumpkin a lesson, but because of a big shot from the Fierce Yin sect, he was delayed. Unexpectedly, I didn't look for you, but you came to me yourself? LV Bao sneered. You brought this upon yourself. LV Bao snorted with disdain and contempt and walked to the other side. He thought that the opponent his father mentioned was very powerful, but he did not expect it to be this bumpkin who dared to fight with him for Xin Air. 7th level Galaxy class. LV Bao's eyes shone. You'll be in for it later. They knew each other, but they did not know each other. Lin Feng naturally did not care about LV Bao. After all, he was an enemy and not a friend. LV Bao was even more lazy to care about Lin Feng. At this moment, he was hoping that the competition would start soon. He wanted Lin Feng to lose face in front of everyone. The large lounge was very quiet. The atmosphere was somewhat oppressive. The people of the colored jade sect looked at LV Bao and his followers, but they did not want to lose face. The smoke in the air seemed to indicate that the sparks of his battle were not ordinary. As time passed slowly, suddenly, a bright light flickered. At the end of the room, the 2 tightly shut doors slowly opened, shining with a bright light. The first round of the main competition had begun. In the audience, everyone's blood was boiling. The main competition was different from the preliminary round. There was only one arena in each area of the main competition. It could be said that everyone's attention was focused on this battle. Lin Wen, an out-and-out dark horse, broke out of the encirclement. LV Bao, the successor of the LV family, was extremely famous. Who do you think will win? Needless to say, it will definitely be LV Bao. That's right, there's no need to ask. How can a 1st level Galaxy class lose to a 7th level Galaxy class? It's completely impossible. What a joke. LV Bao is the young master of the LV family. If he loses, the LV family will lose face. The competition had not started, but everyone was already discussing nonstop. Obviously, in everyone's hearts, LV Bao's support was much higher than Lin Feng's. After all, LV Bao, who came from a wealthy family, was better than Lin Feng in every aspect. It was no wonder that everyone had such thoughts. In an instant, a white light shone. Lin Feng and LV Bao entered the arena almost at the same time, instantly causing a commotion in the surroundings. The two looked at each other, and a strong hostility flashed in each other's eyes. Their fighting spirit was bursting. Second update, my head is already starting to feel dizzy. Continue writing. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 448. On the top floor of the Nine Dragon Arena. In a huge and luxurious room, the battle between Lin Feng and Lu Bao was being shown on a screen as tall as 3 people. Martial uncle, you see my son, Lu Bao. He's the dark horse of this tournament. Lin won, a disciple of the Color Jade sect. Lu Ning introduced with a smile. Sima Shi's eyes flickered as she nodded. I've heard. This little guy's movements aren't small. Qin Xianqian curled her lips and snorted. Opportunistic. She had also heard about this Lin one. He used her 150 Soul Spirit coins to win 2 matches and ended up with 900 Soul Spirit coins. Sima, she looked at her little disciple and smiled. That's because he's capable. She then turned to look at Lu Ning. How about it? Are you confident? Of course. Lu Ning chuckled. If he can't even defeat a rank 7 galaxy-level warrior, how can my son enter the inner sect of the Fiercian sect? Don't you think so, martial uncle? Suddenly, that's hard to say. An indifferent voice was heard. Everyone was startled. Ji Xia's devilish blue eyes flickered as he stared at the screen. The voice came from him. Oh, Sima, she smiled with interest. Lu Ning's face turned green as he forced a smile. Little Xia really likes to joke. Martial brother Ji never jokes. Qin Xianqian snorted. Lu Ning could only laugh dryly after being reprimanded. He didn't know what to say. Disciple, do you think that Linwen can win? Sima, she looked at Ji Xia curiously. Ji Xia's eyes lit up as he nodded slowly. This silent answer was filled with certainty. Instantly, everyone was stunned. Lu Ning's mouth twitched. For a moment, his mind was in a mess as worry flashed across his face. At this moment, Qin Xianqian's eyes lit up as she shouted, "The match begins!" Following the white-clothed man's shout, a clear bell rang. In the audience, everyone's eyes were wide open as they waited for the exciting match to begin. Clang! A treasured sword was unsheathed. It was colorful, and one could tell that it was an extraordinary weapon. Lin Feng's spear shone with a fiery red light. The streamlined body of the spear was filled with beauty. Good spear. Sima Yu's eyes lit up. Lu Mang was stunned, and his eyes revealed a trace of disbelief and shock. Sima Xian was the chief craftsman of the Fierce Yin sect, so it was obvious that he would call it a good spear. On the other hand, Ji Xia and Qin Xianqian acted as if they did not hear anything. Both of their eyes were fixed on the screen. At this moment, both of them had already launched their attacks. Killing sword technique. LV Bao shouted coldly. Like a cheetah hunting its prey, a sharp light shot out from his eyes. Recalling how he was suppressed by Lin Feng's imposing manner that day, Lu Bao felt a burst of humiliation from the bottom of his heart. And today, he was going to avenge his humiliation. The speed was extremely fast, and the sword intent was even more intense. As the young patriarch of the Lu clan, Lu Bao did indeed have some ability. The dense sword light carried boundless killing intent, causing Lu Bao to seem as if he had transformed into a god of death. The air was suffused with a murderous aura that caused one's heart to tremble. At this moment, Lin Feng moved. His figure was as swift as a whirlwind, and his feet suddenly stepped out. Bang! The nightmare spear vibrated. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. He was not affected by Lu Bao's aura at all. Emperor Shun's Gang Qi. Lin Feng shouted. The dense qi of heaven and earth wrapped around his body, turning into a dense white light. In an instant, the appearance of the black mist completely covered the Emperor Shun's Gang Qi. Lin Feng's body immediately concealed his aura and suddenly accelerated. His speed was originally much slower than Lu Bao's, but after the black mist increased his speed, it was only slightly slower. Oomph. You think you're the only one who activated the heroic spirit. Lu Bao sneered. As a star C level, he had activated 2 battle god spirits, one of which was the heroic spirit. In terms of speed, he was naturally faster than Lin Feng. However, entering the area covered by the black mist, Lu Bao's expression suddenly changed. Just like Old Crane, it was as if he had sunk into a swamp, and his body did not listen to him at all. Lu Bao only felt a huge pressure coming from all directions, and his speed suddenly decreased by a lot. Damn black mist. Lu Bao's expression was sinister as he gritted his teeth and shouted. After all, he was the young master of the Lu clan. Lu Bao's wealth was naturally not something Old Crane could compare to. Soul technique, silver lightning flash. Lu Bao's right knee instantly flashed, increasing his speed by 5 times, and immediately negating more than half of the black mist effect. However, it was fast and slow at the same time. At this moment, Lin Feng had already arrived. Sun Dragon Spear Art. Lin Feng's nightmare spear rapidly struck out. Heroic spirit against heroic spirit. How could the silver lightning flash compare to the wind whirlpool's effect? Thousands of small holes spat out a powerful aura, instantly increasing Lin Feng's speed by several times. Even though Lu Bao was a Star C level 1, he was still completely suppressed by Lin Feng in terms of speed. The attack arrived in the blink of an eye. Sun Dragon Spear Art against Murderous Sword Art. The 2 figures instantly intersected, and Lu Bao, who was distracted by the black mist, immediately suffered a loss. When enemies meet on a narrow path, the courageous would win. Lin Feng's fierce attacks were like a flood dragon emerging from the sea, unparalleled. Under this attack, Lu Bao's blood boiled, and the sounds of spear and sword clashing continued. The audience didn't even blink their eyes. Sima, she nodded thoughtfully. TSK, such a weak spear and sword art. Qianqian's mouth twitched. Such a strange black mist. Ji Xiao looked back at Sima Shi and said, Master, what spirit treasure is this? Not sure. Sima, she shook his head and said, it can increase one's speed and decrease the enemy's speed. This type of support spirit treasure is at least 6 stars. Lu Zhen's expression changed greatly as he swallowed his saliva, feeling disbelief. First, it was that spear that Sima Shi praised, and now it was a 6-star spirit treasure. Just where did this Lin come from? I already told that bastard to be careful of the black mist. Lu Zhen's eyes flashed with nervousness and worry as he stared at the giant screen. At this moment, Lu Bao was completely at a disadvantage. Under Lin Feng's extreme yang spear attack, he could only defend. If Lu Bao didn't have a slight advantage in terms of strength, this battle would have already come to an end. Upon closer inspection, Lu Bao's right elbow joint had a faint glow that increased his strength by a lot. Strength. Lu Bao's other battle god spirit was strength. Pung, pung, pung. Lin Feng's spear art was extremely sharp, and he didn't pause at all when he executed it. It was like moving clouds and flowing water, and his movements were extremely smooth. The audience gasped as they stared at the screen with their eyes wide open. No one would have thought that Lin Feng, who was only at the 7th level of the Galaxy class, would gain an absolute advantage in the blink of an eye. This was simply unbelievable. If one kept defending, they would definitely lose. In Lin Feng's next attack, the Nightmare Demon Spear vibrated violently. Lu Bao's wrist went numb, and he couldn't block it in time. As if his chest had been struck by lightning, he retreated abruptly and spat out a mouthful of blood. The distance between the two of them instantly increased. Lin Feng. Lu Bao gritted his teeth as a ferocious, bloody glow appeared in his eyes. As he retreated, he felt a heavy pressure. The black mist didn't weaken at all. Lin Feng was like a dog that had fallen into the water, and he didn't show any mercy. Lu Bao shouted crazily. At this moment, the flickering light on his right elbow instantly condensed into a resplendent glow. Facing Lin Feng's repeated attacks, Lu Bao finally revealed his trump card. Soul Skill Light Sword Wheel. Lu Bao shouted suddenly. At this moment, the light on his right hand shone crazily. A resplendent white light condensed in front of Lu Bao's retreating figure. 12 identical light swords condensed in front of him, forming a cylindrical wheel that rotated violently, creating a huge whirlpool. Wow! The audience cheered. Look, young Master Lu's ultimate move. Rumor has it that his light sword wheel has never tasted defeat. The audience was in a heated discussion. Lu Bao was also full of confidence as he suddenly shouted. Instantly, his body stopped retreating. He pointed with both hands, and the 12 light swords condensed into a dazzling shadow that attacked Lin Feng. You can't dodge. Lu Bao's lips curled up coldly. My light sword will can chase you to the ends of the earth. He was brimming with confidence. But Lu Bao was wrong. Lin Feng didn't even think of dodging. Speeding forward, Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. At this moment, the nightmare demon spear in his hand trembled continuously, as if it was following a strange rhythm. Chi-chi, like a venomous snake waiting for an opportunity to attack, Lin Feng made his move. The nightmare demon spear in his right hand moved in a strange arc, as if it had transformed into a fiery red long whip. The astonishing spear intent was exactly the same as the whip intent. The extremely masculine long spear seemed to have transformed into an extremely feminine long whip with many illusions. The nightmare demon spear seemed to be twisting, forming a spiral shape. Lin Feng's mind flashed with the 3 days of bitter training. A blurry figure was dancing with the spear. Entanglement. That is, Pei Hong's expression changed greatly. Oh, Sima Shi's eyes instantly lit up. What a strange spear art. Ji Xia only exclaimed. Storm spear art. Lin Feng shouted. The nightmare demon spear pierced straight through. The body of the spear that seemed to have transformed into an illusion was like a long whip, rolling up a strong storm. The crazy air pressure condensed, landing right in the center of the 12 light swords. In an instant, the storm condensed, and all the soft and entangling forces turned into a strong and fierce force at this moment. The eye of the storm appeared, spiraling forward, expelling all obstacles. My storm whip art. Pei Hong's eyes widened, covering her mouth in disbelief. Lindigo. Pei Qing's beautiful eyes were bright, and her heart was beating extremely fast. No, don't. Lu Zhan's face was pale, and he felt like he was about to collapse. Danger had arrived. Lin Feng's spear intent suppressed Lu Bao in all aspects. The audience gasped in silence. Lin Feng's attack was accompanied by the nightmare demon spear. All the light swords exploded and pierced towards Lu Bao, who was dumbstruck. Chi. Blood spurted out. The tip of the spear pierced through Lu Bao's body without any resistance. Lu Bao's face was filled with shock as he stared at Lin Feng, as if he was looking at a demon. Until he was defeated, he still didn't dare to believe how Lin Feng broke his invincible light sword wheel. Fresh blood dripped from the wound, and the entire battle arena was silent. Witnessing everything with their own eyes was hard to believe. Lu Bao was defeated. Reported to everyone, Xiao Zhao's condition is very good today. She seems to have recovered from her cold, but I don't dare to make any guarantees, or else I will be slapped in the face again. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 449. It was a crushing defeat. Chi. Lin Feng pulled out the nightmare demon spear. LV Bao's body lost its balance. He clutched the eye-catching wound on his chest and staggered. In an instant, pung. Then he fell backward. Lying on the ground and looking at the sky, Lu Bao's eyes were wide open and filled with shock. He didn't expect himself to lose so miserably in the hands of a country bumpkin, a rank 7 galaxy-class ant. Moreover, he had lost all his face. From the beginning to the end, he didn't even make a decent attack. The situation was completely under Lin Feng's control. Blood flowed as if his heart was crying. Lu Bao's right fist was still clenched, but he didn't have any strength left. He wasn't willing, but what could he do? The audience was in an uproar. No one would have thought that there would be such an upset in the first round of the elite martial arts competition. A rank 7 Galaxy-class warrior defeated a rank 1 Galaxy-class warrior. And the person who lost was the young clan leader of the Liu clan. It was unbelievable. Where did this monster come from? Sci-Fi's sect. Wow, this useless sect has finally transformed. Haha, I told you that Linwen would be an upset, but you didn't believe me. Ha ha. In the spectator area, clamorous sounds came wave after wave, and all of them were whispering and discussing without end. It wasn't just because of the huge difference in strength between the two, but also because Linwen came from a useless sect that had been at the bottom for 1,000 years. Plus, this was his first time participating. It was too magical. After the referee announced the winner of the match, everything was settled. Among those who placed their bets, there were some who were happy and some who were sad, but from their expressions, most of them were sad. Pa! Pei Hong stomped her feet in annoyance and slapped herself. What's wrong, sister? Pei Qing was surprised. Lindigo won. Aren't you happy? Yes, Sister Hong, Xiaolu said curiously. This is a good thing. Pei Hong smiled bitterly. I blame myself for being too stupid. I didn't listen to Lin Feng. The odds are so high this time. If I can bet on it, 10 soul coins can become more than 20. Everyone burst into laughter. They didn't expect this to be the case. Sister, it's not your fault. No one expected it. Pei Qing smiled. That's right, senior sister. We originally thought that it would be fine as long as Lindigo didn't lose too badly. Who would have thought that he would win so easily? Little Jade covered her mouth and laughed softly. At this moment, talking about me behind my back again? Lin Feng's figure appeared at the door with a faint smile. Of course not. Lindigo, little Lu ran over happily, her big eyes shining with adoration. You're too awesome. Lindigo, little Lu likes you so much. Lin Feng suddenly smiled and rubbed little Jade's head. Pei Hong blushed. It's nothing. Congratulations, Lin Feng. Pei Qing also gave him a thumbs up. Lindigo, you're too awesome. Feeling everyone's heartfelt congratulations, Lin Feng smiled slightly. In fact, he wasn't too excited. Defeating Liu Bao was within his expectations. The most important thing was that after passing the first round, he had achieved the 2 goals of participating in the elite martial arts competition. In the box on the top floor, Lu Zhen's face was pale, and his expression was dull. He thought that the battle was in the bag, but he didn't expect to fall short. He had painstakingly planned for his son, and he was only 1 step away from entering the inner sect of Li Yin's sect. However, this step was as difficult as ascending to heaven. His efforts were in vain. How is it? Sima Xian turned to look at his 2 disciples. Very strong. Ji Xia's eyes were burning. If I was at level 7 galaxy level, no, peak galaxy level, I'm afraid I wouldn't be his match. That's all. Qin Qianqian curled her lips. You can only bully trash who didn't realize astral power. Qianqian, Sima Xian snorted. Lu Zhen's expression became even uglier. This time, the Liu family had indeed lost all their face. One could only imagine how the entire Green Smoke City would exaggerate this battle. Sigh. Lu Zhen sighed. However, these were all trivial matters. The most important thing was that his son had missed an extremely good opportunity. An opportunity for a carp to leap over the dragon's gate and have a bright future. This was the most pitiful thing. Master, Qin Qianqian said coquettishly, I'm telling the truth. That Lin one, if it were me, dealing with him would be a piece of cake. As she said this, Qin Qianqian raised her head proudly. She placed her hands on her waist and looked very confident. Sima Xian shook his head with a bitter smile, but he couldn't do anything about this disciple. However, if Linwen advances to the Star Sea level, then it's hard to say. Sima Xian smiled. There's always someone better than you. Qianqian, learn from your senior brother. Don't be a frog in a well. Learn to be prepared for danger and work hard. You're right, master. Ji Xia nodded seriously. He hesitated and said, However, master, I feel that Linwen didn't use his full strength. Everyone was stunned when they heard this. Qianqian frowned. That's impossible. Senior brother. Sima Xian pondered and said, "Why do you think so?" Ji Xia's eyes were burning. "I've seen him once. This person gives me a very dangerous feeling." Ji Xia paused and said, "If his strength is only like this, I wouldn't have such a feeling." In other words, with the strength that Lin Feng had shown, he wasn't a threat to him. "I see." Sima Xian nodded thoughtfully. Lu Zhen's expression was very ugly, but the more he listened, the more he disliked it. So that Lin Wen actually showed mercy to him? What a joke. However, there were many things that could be thought but could not be said. After all, Sima Xian was an important person in Li Yin's sect. Even his two disciples were higher in seniority than him. Most importantly, he didn't dare to offend Li Yin's sect. Otherwise, he would die very miserably. "Martial uncle, about Quan." Lu Zhen's mouth twitched. He said fawningly, "Is there any room for negotiation?" "He's already lost," Qin Qianqian muttered. "Qianqian," Sima Xian shouted. Looking at Lu Zhen, Sima Xian frowned slightly. He thought carefully for a while and sighed. "Little Zhen, it's not that I don't want to help you, but you saw it yourself. Even if you show the recorded video to the sect master, the chances are not high." Don't worry, Lu Zhen said. "As long as martial uncle can show the video to the sect master, it'll be fine." "Why?" Sima Xian shook his head. LV Ning smiled bitterly. He didn't want to be like this, but even if there was only a slight chance, he had to try. He bit his lips tightly and said, "As long as martial uncle is willing to help me and put in a few good words for me, and if Quan is lucky enough to enter the inner sanctum of Fierce Yin School, no matter what conditions martial uncle has, little Ning will do my best to fulfill them for martial uncle." For his son, Lu Zhen was ready to risk everything. As a father, which father didn't want his son to be successful? Sima Xian's eyes flashed, and he sighed. "All right, since I owe you a favor, I'll try my best no matter what." Sima Xian looked at Lu Zhen and nodded. "But with the sect master's personality, I'm afraid that little nephew's chances of entering Li Yin's sect are not high." It's fine. Lu Zhen squeezed out a smile. "Thank you, martial uncle." Sima Xian raised his hand, indicating that Lu Zhen didn't need to be polite. He turned to look at Ji Xia and Qin Qianqian and said slowly, "Let's go. It's Qianqian's turn soon. Watch me." Qin Qianqian clenched her fist and snorted. Ji Xia smiled faintly. Then, the three of them walked out of the private room together. Leaving LV Ning alone, the forced smile on his face instantly became extremely ugly. "This idiot. Trash." Lu Zhen's face was ferocious as he shouted angrily. His entire person seemed to have gone crazy. A sharp force blasted out from his right hand and instantly shattered the entire tea table. Lu Zhen was so angry that his chest tightened. His entire person was like a ghost. He was too unwilling to accept this. Such a good opportunity was squandered just like that. What a pity. "Lin Feng, you bastard." Lu Zhen gritted his teeth in anger, completely venting his anger on Lin Feng. "How dare you ruin my plans? I'll definitely make you regret it." Lu Zhen's undulating chest gradually calmed down. An intense cold light shot out from his eyes. That was a true murderous intent. The first round of the main competition was carried out in a hurry. Apart from the battle between Lin Feng and Lu Bao, there were very few dark horses. The real experts had already revealed their talents. In the main competition, when two opponents met on a narrow path, the winner was usually the stronger one. Soon, the first round was over. Apart from Lu Bao, there were only 3-star C-level warriors who were defeated by killing each other. As for Ji Xia and Qin Qianqian, who were extremely popular before the competition, they easily passed the first round. The second round was about to begin. This round determined the top 32 of the martial arts competition. For any martial artist who came to participate, this was an extremely precious opportunity, because entering the top 32, one would be able to obtain a real reward. All warriors could choose a cultivation method secret manual, mental cultivation method, weapon secret manual, soul attraction technique, and so on. I said that we can enter the third level in the afternoon, right? Lin Feng smiled indifferently. Smirk. Pei Hong snorted. Thanks to me, you won't be able to pass the second round. Yes, yes. Lin Feng chuckled. He was in extremely good mood. It couldn't be better to enter the top 32 without bloodshed. After returning from the Nine Dragons arena, he had already received the top 32 reward and chose a soul attraction technique. Human rank grade 5 soul divergence technique. It was even better than Fengyang Valley's most precious human rank grade 6 soul shock technique. However, what he lost on the swings, he gained on the swings. 3 needs 1 attraction. I've prepared everything. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He had finally obtained the last key to breaking through to the Star Sea level. The door that was closed on the path of cultivation was about to open. But now it wasn't the time yet. There's still a match tomorrow, and I'll be able to enter the top 10. At that time, I'll get 3 days of rest. It won't be too late to break through then. Lin Feng smiled slightly. To be honest, Pei Hong's luck was indeed good. From the top 32 to the top 10, she had passed one of the 2 matches. And this was the only match. Li Ming, don't lose this afternoon. Lin Feng smiled indifferently. In his eyes, a faint killing intent had already condensed. It was time to settle old scores. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 450. Reflection Tower, 2-star suite. Nice win, little disciple. Ding Hong laughed heartily. You're so powerful, senior brother Li. Ding Can's eyes were full of stars. It's all thanks to Master's teachings, Li Ming said humbly, but he couldn't stop smiling. He was really happy. Fame, fortune, and sex. If he hadn't killed Wang Feng and taken the Bodhi flower, how could he have the glory he had today? He would have died in the chaotic swamp. Now, he had used the money to break through to the Star Sea level and was chosen by Master as the successor of the sect leader. He could enjoy the best resources and soul tools in the sect. Entering the top 32 not only made the sect proud, but also made him famous. It was a pity that he couldn't marry Xianair. But Li Ming looked at Ding Can with a smile on his face. If he married the sister first, he might even marry the sister if he became the sect leader. That would be perfect. Don't blame me, Wang Feng. Blame yourself for standing in front of me. A man of great ambition doesn't care about trifles. When a man needs to be ruthless, he must be ruthless. Li Ming pondered for a moment. His eyes flashed, but the smile remained on his face. Everyone in Wind Rise Valley was immersed in joy. No one saw the change in his expression, except for Wei Hai. But so what if they knew? Li Ming had become the hero of Wind Rise Valley. No one in Wind Rise Valley had been able to win 2 matches in a row and enter the top 32. So what if a few people died? Even if the truth was out, Li Ming wouldn't be punished. This was reality. At this time, inside the room, everyone was in high spirits, laughing and cheering. For Wind Rise Valley, this was a huge breakthrough. Ding Qing smiled. That's not all. Li Ming only has 1 match tomorrow. As long as he can pass the 3rd round in the morning, he will be able to enter the top 10. Ding Qing's gaze swept across the crowd, and a brilliant light rippled in her eyes. At that time, my Rising Wind Valley will obtain a qualification to enter the Green Smoke's secret realm. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone felt unbearably excited. Li Ming's eyes were shining. If he could enter the top 10 and enter the Green Smoke's secret territory, he had a bright future ahead of him. At this time, Ding Qin suddenly exclaimed, looking at the battle list. His small face was filled with surprise. Impossible, right? What's wrong, little sister? Ding Qing asked curiously. Ding Can's eyes widened as he pointed at the list. Senior brother Li's next opponent is actually Lin 1. Colored Jade Sect, Lin 1. Ding Hong nodded, but he already knew. A rank 7 galaxy level warrior, the biggest dark horse today. No one expected him to defeat the young master of the Liu family and enter the top 32. His gaze turned to Ding. Kansas Ding Hong opened his mouth and said, Kenner, you've exchanged blows with him. What do you think? Dinkin opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say. Could it be that she was a prostitute? In reality, she was defeated in a single move, so she didn't feel anything. If one really had to describe it, it would be Lin Wen was very strong. However, this was the same as not saying anything. To be able to enter the top 32 of the elite martial arts competition, which one of them wasn't strong? Luck alone was not enough. Right? Ding Can's eyes lit up as he hastily said, that Lin Wen will release a strange black mist. Once you enter it, your speed will drop sharply. What? Everyone's expression changed drastically. Ding Hong and Li Ming's faces were extremely pale. They looked at each other, and they could see the shock in each other's eyes. Lin Wen Lin Feng, Li Ming mumbled. He felt his heart pounding in his chest. He was terrified. It can't be that coincidental. It can't really be him. Li Ming shook his head, looking a little flustered. Wei Hai said softly, it's him, Lin Feng. This sentence was like a knife falling down. Everyone's eyes widened. Ding Hong suddenly remembered the battle in Fengyang Valley and felt his face turn red. Li Ming's eyes were filled with fear and disbelief. When the Ding sisters heard this familiar name, Great Elder Ding Ding had already recovered from his shock. He shouted angrily, is it the boy who humiliated our Fengyang Valley that day? Wei Hai hesitated for a moment before nodding. He's a disciple of the Colored Jade sect. Ding Ding's eyes lit up. Is it the Lin Feng who killed senior brother Wang Feng and junior sister Xianer? Ding Qing asked. It's him. Ding Hong's eyes were cold as he looked at Wei Hai. Junior brother, you already knew? Wei Hai sighed. He thought that Lin Feng wouldn't be able to clear his name this time. Yes, I didn't expect him to enter the top 32. He even fought against Li Ming. Oomph. Ding Hong snorted angrily. Junior brother, you're still defending him. The truth is clear now. That Lin Feng is a spy sent by the Colored Jade sect in order to steal the secret manual of our Fengyang Valley's mental cultivation method, or something even more precious. Wei Hai wanted to explain for Lin Feng, but he didn't know where to start. He could only shake his head helplessly. Good, we can settle old and new grudges together, Ding Ding shouted angrily. Li Ming, listen carefully. You must win tomorrow's battle. Well, Li Ming seemed to be hesitant. Light kept flashing in his eyes. He knew Lin Feng's power too well. He had killed the witch race, annihilated Old Crane's group, and even defeated his teacher in a one-on-one battle. Although he was already in the first level of the Star Sea state, but if he really fought against Lin Feng, he wasn't confident at all. Ding Hong seemed to see Li Ming's hesitation. He patted his shoulder and said sincerely, don't worry. Why would I harm you? If I wasn't confident, I wouldn't let you go. As he spoke, Ding Hong took out a fiery red vest. Intense fire elements instantly filled the entire room. What is this, master? Li Ming's eyes lit up. Sacrificial fire robe. Ding Hong nodded. It's made from the fur of the sacrificial fire beast. It's very resistant to fire attacks. Li Ming took it. Feeling the power of the fire, he calmed down. But could it block Lin Feng's terrifying fire? Don't underestimate this sacrificial fire robe. Ding Hong smiled. It's the treasure of Fengyang Valley. Ordinary fire offering cloaks are already quite resistant to fire, but this one... Ding Hong's eyes suddenly shone brightly. It's made from the gene blood of the Zhu Rong Magi clan. Although it can only absorb 10% of the power of the gene blood, it's quite resistant to fire. Li Ming's eyes lit up. His heart was beating fast. No wonder the fire was so powerful. And the soul artifact soul domain that you fused with not long ago can counter Lin Feng. Ding Hong's eyes lit up. Although it's only for a moment, with the soul domain, you won't be affected by the black mist. Plus, you've already activated the soul essence in your left foot. In terms of speed, Lin Feng is far inferior to you. You'll win this battle for sure. Ding Hong nodded. Li Ming hesitated for a long time, and then his eyes lit up. Okay, master. Indeed, with the soul domain and the sacrificial fire robe, he was no longer at a disadvantage against Lin Feng. With the power of the first level of the Star Sea state, he could definitely fight. The most important thing was, as long as he defeated Lin Feng, he would be able to enter the top 10 and obtain the qualification to enter the Green Smoke Secret Realm. That was the holy land that every martial artist yearned for even in their dreams. In the training hall of the 7-star suite, Lin Feng didn't waste any time. He used all the time he had to practice the storm spear art. In the battle with LV Bao this morning, I didn't fully utilize the storm spear art. The appearance of the Eye of the Storm was slightly off. Lin Feng's expression was solemn and serious. The nightmare devil spear in his hand danced continuously, coiling around like silk. The storm spear art had both offense and defense. It was a perfect combination. Compared to the Sun Dragon spear art, the storm spear art had both offense and defense. There's no room for error in a battle. LV Bao is weak, so there's room for me to make mistakes. If we're evenly matched, a slight difference is enough to change the entire battle situation. He had to strive for perfection. There was no room for error when practicing the spear. Lin Feng's eyes were burning. He understood that this was because he had just comprehended and was compatible with the storm spear art. There was a period of adjustment for everything. As for the spear art, it required continuous practice to master it completely. There was no shortcut. One day's time is enough. Lin Feng's eyes were burning. In the spacious training hall, the sound of gunshots could be heard continuously. Lin Feng focused all of his attention, preparing for tomorrow's battle. Even though his opponent was only Li Ming, but he had to do his best. The next day dawned. Pei Hong and the others were already prepared and ready to go. Compared to Lin Feng, they were even more nervous. Today's battle would determine whether they could enter the top 10. For the Colored Jade sect, this was a historic moment. Their doubts about Lin Feng had already disappeared. All that was left was only confidence. Lindigo will definitely win. Little Jade's eyes were shining. Indeed, today's opponent is on the same level as Lu Bao. Pei Qing smiled. If Master knows that we entered the top 10, I wonder what her expression will be. Pei Hong smiled. Suddenly, the door of the training hall opened and Lin Feng stepped out. Looking at the girls with shining eyes, Lin Feng smiled and said, "The battle hasn't started yet, and you're already sure that I can enter the top 10? Of course, Lindigo is the best." Little Jade gave him a thumbs up and smiled. "Will you lose?" Pei Hong asked curiously. Lin Feng smiled when he heard that. "It doesn't matter which round I lose. I will definitely not lose today's battle." To him, today's battle was very important. 9 Dragons Arena. The atmosphere was lively. The competition had entered the top 32, and it was getting more and more exciting. It was a battle between true experts. Among them, there were many battles between Star Sea experts, which attracted a lot of attention, especially for those ordinary warriors. Watching these warriors, who were usually high and mighty, fight gave them an extremely satisfying feeling. After 2 rounds of the main competition, the venue changed from the 2nd level to the 4th level. It was getting more and more high-end. The level of the contestants was also slowly increasing. The venue of the competition also became more and more spacious. From 10 zones to 8 zones, and then from 8 zones to 6 zones. At the 4th level, there were only 4 zones left. There was only 1 arena in each district. Everyone's focus. "We're here." Lin Feng led the surprised Colored Jade sect members through the contestants' passage. In an instant, their vision blurred, and they entered a brand new zone. The spacious space, the fresh air, the unique decorations, and the group of people from Rising Wind Valley had been waiting for a long time. Chapter 451. Lin Feng, a voice said through gritted teeth. Lin Feng replied softly, "Oh." Then he looked into the distance. Instantly, he saw the familiar faces of the people from Rising Wind Valley. Ding Hong, Wei Hai, Ding Can, and Li Ming. The one who called him was Li Ming. "Do you think we won't recognize you just because you changed your name?" Li Ming shouted angrily. "You killed Wang Feng, Xian Heir, and the Qi siblings. You heinous executioner." The women of the Colored Jade sect who followed Lin Feng were all stunned. They didn't know what to do with the sudden abuse. They immediately looked at Lin Feng. However, he just smiled faintly as if he didn't hear anything. Let's go. Lin Feng calmly stepped forward and smiled at the women. The resting room was very big, and the structure was similar to the second floor. At the end of the room were two closed doors. Obviously, they were the entrances to the arena. The room was beautifully decorated and had a faint fragrance. It made people feel relaxed and happy. The most unique thing was that it had an independent cultivation room. Coward who dares to do but doesn't dare to admit it, Dinkin said disdainfully. I don't know what the defeated general is talking about, Pei Hong suddenly said. Dinkin was so angry that his face turned red. He shouted angrily, What did you say? I'm talking about you. Why do you ask when you already know the answer? Pei Hong put her hands on her hips and didn't back down. Have you forgotten how you lost that day? You. Dinkin bit his lips and trembled with anger. Sister, why are you arguing with a mad dog like him? Pei Qing smiled faintly. You're right, Pei Hong muttered. Li Ming snorted disdainfully. He's just a coward who hides under a woman's skirt. What did you say? Pei Hong was furious. Just as she was about to explode in anger, Lin Feng grabbed her wrist. Pei Hong was stunned. However, she was taken away by Lin Feng. Seeing that Lin Feng was avoiding him, Li Ming regained some confidence and shouted, Just you wait, Lin Feng. I will avenge my dead brothers and sisters. However, Lin Feng acted as though he did not hear anything, and he led everyone into an independent cultivation room. Li Ming showed a confident smile. Senior brother Li, when the time comes, teach that Lin Feng a lesson, Dinkin said angrily. Don't worry, Lon. Li Ming's eyes were bright and full of confidence. Ding Ding's eyes shone brightly as he said earnestly, Remember, don't kill Lin Feng. Otherwise, you may be disqualified at any time and banned for life. Yes, Grand Elder. Li Ming nodded. Is there anything you want to ask? Lin Feng smiled. What's there to ask? Linda Ge isn't that kind of person. Pei Qing's beautiful eyes were clear. That's right, Linda Ge is a good person. I like Linda Ge the most, Xiao Lu smiled sweetly. I know that Dogman and Dogwoman are the bad guys. Pei Hong curled her lips. I believe so too. Lay Down nodded. Looking at the crowd and hearing their heartfelt words, Lin Feng felt warmth in his heart. He had only known the people of the Caifei sect for a few days, but they trusted him so wholeheartedly, which touched him. Thank you. Lin Feng nodded. Wow, Linda Ge is so polite. Xiao Lu rubbed her face with her index finger and teased. That's right, we are not outsiders. Pei Qing smiled faintly. Later, we must win cleanly. Pei Hong was like a lioness. Lin Feng smiled and looked outside through the brown glass. He could see the faces of the people of the Rising Wind Valley clearly. Li Ming was talking arrogantly, but he didn't know what he was talking about. Obviously, it wasn't anything good. Looking at that face, Lin Feng couldn't help but think of Wang Feng's tragic death. A cold light flashed in his eyes. He deserved to die. The reason why he participated in this elite martial arts competition was firstly for the prize for the top 32, and secondly, for Li Ming. This was the only place where they could kill him openly and pay tribute to Brother Wang, who had passed away. As for the rules and punishment of the competition, did he care? On the top floor, in a luxurious private room. I don't understand why Senior Brother would pay attention to such an inconspicuous guy, Qin Qianqian said curiously. Sima she smiled faintly. Qianqian, believe me, your Senior Brother was born with indigo blue eyes. He is very good at judging people. He is even better than your master. Master, you are exaggerating. Jixia said faintly. I don't know why, but I feel that Lin Wen is a threat. Sima Shi's eyes sparkled. More threatening than last year's champion, White God. Jixia hesitated and nodded. Yes. Really? Qin Qianqian muttered. We will know soon. Sima Shi looked at the screen and smiled. The competition is about to start. The short rest time passed quickly. As the identity card in his pocket flashed, the two closed doors at the end of the room opened. Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he stood up. Good luck, Linda Ge. Pei Qing clenched his fist and said, You must win. Little Jade nodded and cheered for Lin Feng. Don't worry, wait for me to come back. Lin Feng smiled. Looking at these friends, he felt warm in his heart. Lin Feng pushed open the door of the cultivation room and walked into the tunnel. The spectator stands were packed with people. Everyone's eyes were wide open as they stared at the huge arena. As the bell rang, everyone held their breaths and waited for the arrival of the two martial artists. Lin Feng was a huge dark horse. Although he was a level 7 Cosmic River State, he had continuously defeated peak Cosmic River States and level 1 Cosmic Sea States. His strength was a mystery. Li Ming also defeated a level 1 Cosmic Sea State martial artist. His methods were extremely ruthless. They were evenly matched. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Instantly, swoosh. A white light flashed. Li Ming entered the arena first. In the blink of an eye, Lin Feng appeared. The entire spectator stands were seething with excitement as wolf cries rang out continuously. Following the entrance of the contestants, the entire arena was filled with deafening roars, as if it wanted to shake the sky down. It was extremely lively. Who do you think will win? I think it will be Lin Wen. I saw the last round. He's very strong. Who said so? Li Ming is the strong one. He's much stronger than Lu Bao, who is also a level 1 Cosmic Sea State. This kind of evenly matched battle was what people looked forward to the most, and they enjoyed talking about it. Everyone wanted to know who was stronger between the two. Lin Feng. Li Ming clenched his teeth, showing his anger. The opponent in front of him was both familiar and unfamiliar. To him, this was a battle he couldn't avoid. In fact, Li Ming absolutely believed that he could defeat Lin Feng now. Lin Feng smiled and looked calmly at Li Ming. He didn't need to speak. His eyes said everything. Faint killing intent leaked out his eyes. Lin Feng's smile looked like the smile of the Grim Reaper. It made people's hair stand on end. Before the battle, their auras were already competing. The two of them landed on their respective positions and entered the preparation area. At this moment, dong! A crisp bell sounded, sounding the main melody of the battle. Die Lin Feng. Li Ming's face was hideous as he shouted. Wearing the sacrificial flame robe, Li Ming was fearless. The long sword buzzed, bringing with it a loud and clear cry, as if it was cutting through the horizon. Li Ming's sword intent was stronger than Lu Bao's. Li Ming used his full power and activated the essence of his left leg. His speed was faster than Lin Feng's by a level. Lin Feng moved. Along with the black fog, his speed doubled instantly. His speed, which was 1 step slower than Li Ming's, was now much faster. It was the same battle. It was the same when he fought Lu Bao. When the black mist enveloped Li Ming and the wind vortex broke, he would have the absolute advantage. But battles were always changing in an instant. Clang! Li Ming's long sword seemed to come alive. It shone brightly and radiated light. Facing the black mist, Li Ming didn't panic at all. His left knee bloomed with dazzling light. Li Ming's eyes were as bright as stars as he shouted, "Independent area." The light covered Li Ming completely, creating an independent area. An isolated zone. Isolated zone. The black mist enveloped Li Ming, but he couldn't enter this strange zone. Just as Ding Hong said, he wasn't affected at all. Oh! Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He was surprised, but he didn't slow down. The wind vortex appeared and Emperor Shun's earth energy condensed. Lin Feng's attack appeared in the blink of an eye. But Li Ming came faster, fiercer, and more ferocious. Radiant sword, Li Ming shouted. His speed was just slightly faster than Lin Feng's. Li Ming's eyes flashed fiercely. At this moment, he fully displayed his strength and gained the upper hand. I'm afraid you won't come. Lin Feng looked indifferent. So what if he was slower? So what if he lost the initiative? So what if he was weaker than Li Ming? He had one thing that Li Ming didn't have. Stormy spear art. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. After a night of hard work, he had already perfected the spear art. Lin Feng suddenly stepped out with his right foot. The wind vortex condensed light spots. The Nightmare Demon's spear in his hand twisted like silk. The Nightmare Demon's spear seemed to have turned into a spiral shape. This is... Ding Hong's expression changed as he watched the battle. Impossible. Ding Ding's eyes widened. The twisting force was completely unleashed. The spear intent was awe-inspiring. It could attack and defend at the same time. Li Ming only felt that the long sword was extremely soft, as if he was trapped in a vortex. At this moment, Eye of the Storm, the continuous vibration of the nightmare demon spear created an intense pressure. It compressed the air, making Li Ming's long sword feel like it was in a vacuum. Attacking after the enemy. In terms of spear intent, Lin Feng was better than Li Ming's sword intent. Otherwise, with Li Ming's strength, his sword would have broken Lin Feng's spear, just like how Lin Feng broke Pei Hong's whip. Do you think you can win? Li Ming shouted with a ferocious expression. Bear spirit. His right hand released a huge destructive force. His elbow was shining brightly. Li Ming was at the Starry Sea level. He had activated 2 battle spirits. One was the spirit essence, and the other was the spirit force. He was already stronger than Lin Feng. Now, he was even more terrifying. He had expanded his advantage to a great extent, but was it useful? Lin Feng didn't even think about using strength to restrain Li Ming. Flame of Rebirth. His eyes lit up, and a powerful fiery red existence instantly emerged from his heart. It went through the nightmare demon spear's excellent body and went straight to the tip, gathering a shocking destructive force. Previously, it was the rebirth flame that injured Ding Hong. Now, he was using the same trick again. Boom! The flames burned the sun. However, Li Ming smiled strangely. He wasn't afraid at all. The nightmare demon spear was wrapped up. The rebirth flame seemed to have meta wall. It couldn't break through Li Ming's defense. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He suddenly felt a strong fire elemental energy absorb and weaken his rebirth flame. It was completely blocked in a short time. In front of him, Li Ming's long sword was very close. It was about to strike. In an instant, devouring flame. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The nightmare demon spear groaned as if it couldn't withstand such a force. However, in an instant, the engulfing fire gathered at the tip of the spear. In an instant, the 2 abnormally strong flames fused together with an explosive sound. The frightening fire elements fused crazily in the black mist and instantly exploded. It was as if the heavenly thunder had stirred up the earthly fire, as if thunder and lightning were intertwined. Die! Lin Feng's eyes were filled with killing intent. No! Li Ming's face was filled with terror. This terrifying force made him feel the threat of death. He completely collapsed. At this moment, he felt deep regret. The person in front of him was a devil. Why did he provoke him? However, it was too late to regret. Everything was too late. In an instant, boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion. The violent explosion blew up everything. The explosion spread widely and covered the entire arena. The remaining force of the explosion hit the light film at the edge of the arena, making a sizzling sound. It was about to break through the terrifying light film. Just the remaining force was so powerful. One could only imagine what would happen at the center of the explosion. Everyone was stunned. They looked at all this with their eyes wide open. It was as if they were suffocating. Everything was quiet. I'm in good spirits today. Xiao Xiao seems to have recovered from her illness. Looking for recommendations, subscriptions, monthly votes, support for Xiao Xiao. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 452. On the top floor, in a luxurious room. This is a magnetic explosion. It's very powerful. Sima Shi's eyes lit up. What is a magnetic explosion, teacher? Qin Qianqian asked in surprise. It's a huge magnetic explosion caused by the collision of extreme energies. It's very rare. Jixiao's bright tiger eyes stared at the light screen. No, it's very rare to see a magnetic explosion with such powerful energy. We often encounter small magnetic explosions during the process of making weapons, which lead to explosions and failures. Although I don't know how it happened, but Sima, she shook his head and said regretfully, in this terrifying magnetic explosion, These two warriors have no chance of surviving. What? Qin Xianqian covered her mouth in surprise. Her face showed that she couldn't bear to see this. Ji Xia's blue eyes shone brightly as he said in a deep voice, "No, teacher, I vaguely saw that he is still alive." Impossible. Sima Shi was shocked. Impossible. This was the thought of many warriors who knew how powerful the magnetic explosion was. That strong energy slowly disappeared, and the smoke and dust dispersed, revealing a faintly discernible and blurry figure of a person. He was holding a long spear and standing upright. Lin Feng was covered in blood. He looked like a devil from hell. His horrifying appearance could scare people out of their wits. The long spear in his hand shone with a fiery red light, looking very ferocious. He was still alive. At that moment, the spectators were in an uproar, erupting into an astonishing clamor. How come he's alone? Where did Li Ming go? Who knows? What happened? Why did the explosion suddenly happen? Oh my God, look at the light screen outside the arena. It's cracked. There were indeed cracks, because Lin Feng could faintly hear the deafening noise outside. A bright light flashed across Lin Feng's eyes. Although he was badly injured, he was quite satisfied. The power of the explosion was even greater than before. As expected, with the improvement of the devouring fire, the power of the combination of the two types of flames was beyond his expectations. If I'm not mistaken, the drop of fiery red blood I absorbed just now should be the blood of the Zhu Rong Magus clan. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. Li Ming's terrified expression was still deeply etched in his mind when he recalled the explosion just now. At that moment, he could completely feel his fear of death. But you brought this upon yourself. Lin Feng thought to himself. First, he killed Wang Feng. Then, he framed Li Ming. Perhaps Li Ming's scheme was very successful. But what was the use? Regardless of whether it was the Sky Martial Continent or the Douling world, the strong were always respected. Whoever was stronger would be able to control everything, just like now. Feeling his body recovering at an astonishing speed, Lin Feng's lips curled into a faint smile. Although his body was covered in blood, although he had indeed been seriously injured during the explosion, his flesh was badly mangled and his injuries were fatal. However, with the phoenix blood, as long as he still had a single breath left in him, in less than a moment, then he would be cured. Right now, it only looked scary. No wonder he was so confident just now. Lin Feng thought to himself. During the attack, his rebirth flame encountered a great deal of trouble. After absorbing and weakening, the remaining energy could no longer cause any harm to Li Ming. If he continued to attack, that drop of Zhu Rong Shaman clan's blood would not be able to continue and would eventually be broken through, just like how he dealt with it that day. However, he did not have so much time. If it became a protracted battle, he could certainly win, but it would be difficult to kill him. With Li Ming's cunning, once the situation became unfavorable, he would very likely give up. The elite martial arts competition prohibited killing when the opponent was no longer able to resist. Outside the arena, there were powerful Star Sea level warriors who would forcefully interfere and stop the competition at any time. This was the only way to end it once and for all. He no longer had to worry about anything. Brother Wang, rest in peace. I've avenged you. Lin Feng closed his eyes and took a deep breath. In the resting room, the expressions of the people from the Wind Rising Valley and the Color Jade sect were completely different. Great, you really scare me to death. Pei Hong only felt a wave of mental and physical exhaustion. She sat down at the back. Upon closer inspection, there were still tears in her eyes. At the moment of the explosion, she felt as if her heart had been torn in half and she had stopped breathing. Pei Qing's chest was still heaving up and down, and there was a smile on her face as if she had survived a disaster. Xiao Lu's tears had turned into laughter. She had been frightened just now, thinking that Linda Ge had been killed by the explosion. She suddenly burst into tears. Among the people, only Lei Dao was the calmest. He stared at the arena with a pair of fierce eyes, shining brightly. The people from the Wind Rising Valley were completely stunned. Until now, they still had not recovered from the shock. Li Ming had disappeared. No, it should be said that there was no corpse left. No, no, Senior Brotherly won't die. Ding Can's face was distorted. He said he would marry me. Ding Qin grabbed Ding Can's wrist and stopped her hysterical madness. Great Elder Ding Ding frowned, and his eyes flashed with deep sorrow. It was not easy to find a good seedling, and the Wind Rising Valley had a successor, but he did not expect to be filled with sorrow and joy in an instant. How could this be? Impossible. Ding Hong suffered the greatest blow, and he looked old. His hair seemed to have turned white overnight. He staggered, and his expression was extremely dispirited. His two proud disciples, Wang Feng, died, and then Li Ming broke through to the Star Sea level. This made him completely determined to nurture Li Ming as his successor. The soul weapon Solitary Domain and the sacrificial flame robe that was fused with the blood essence of the Zhurong shaman tribe were priceless treasures that were passed down from generation to generation. It could be said that all of Ding Hong's thoughts were focused on Li Ming, but he did not expect that happiness would be so short-lived. In just a short moment, it turned into nothingness. It's him, it's all him. Lin Feng. Ding Hong's face was as ferocious as a devil's. At this moment, his resentment towards Lin Feng rose crazily. It was he who pushed the Wind Rising Valley to the brink again and again. He really didn't die. Sima Xian's eyes were burning. This is strange. Ji Xia frowned slightly. Although he saw that Lin Feng was not dead, he could not figure out why. How did Lin Feng survive such a powerful magnetic explosion? There's nothing strange. Sima Xian nodded and said, since he has a 6-star spirit treasure and above, he probably has other life-saving spirit treasures. Ji Xia nodded slightly. Indeed, this was the only explanation that made sense. If someone told him that Lin Feng's body could withstand such a shocking magnetic explosion, he would not believe it. Master, where did this Lin Wen come from? Qin Qianqian's beautiful eyes glowed. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be such a person in Green Smoke City, right? There's always someone better than you. Sima Xian smiled and said, there are many things that you shouldn't get to the bottom of. Although the fierce Yin sect is strong, the Yinling prefecture has existed for more than 100,000 years. Many powerful people like to live in seclusion in the mountains and forests and cultivate. This is nothing strange. For example, your biggest opponent this time, the White Deity, is a descendant of a Yinling prefecture. Ji Xia and Qin Qianqian nodded to show that they understood. Being from the fierce Yin sect, the two of them had a much higher outlook than the martial artists in Green Smoke City. Lin Wen will enter the top 10. My opponent will be him. Ji Xia's eyes shone brightly as he clenched his fists. There was a trace of excitement and deep anticipation. Lin Feng's strength made his blood boil. The audience was in an uproar. Lin Feng closed his eyes and regulated his breathing. The results had not been announced yet, so he could not leave. However, the results of the first round of the competition will be announced soon. This time, why is it taking so long? Lin Feng thought to himself. In fact, he did not care too much about the results. However, he did not feel comfortable being exposed in front of everyone. The bloodstains on his body slowly dried up. The initial painful injuries had already recovered. Although he did not have his peak combat strength, he had recovered more than 80%. The blood of the phoenix is indeed extraordinary. Lin Feng smiled in his heart. Although his strength was restricted by the phoenix natal chart, there were always gains and losses. The help the phoenix blood provided to him was unparalleled. Without it, he might have been seriously injured to death. At this moment, his lower abdomen felt as if it was being burned by a raging fire. It was very strange. Since the heart of Lich can absorb the blood of the Gomang shaman clan, why can't it absorb the blood of the Zhurong shaman clan? Lin Feng thought. Thinking back, although the heart of Lich could sense it, it could not absorb it. That drop of blood was swallowed into his stomach in the end. What a powerful energy! Lin Feng exclaimed inwardly. He closed his eyes and looked at his body. At this moment, the third last light spot on the Phoenix natal chart, the Fire Star chart, was shining brightly. The fire of engulfment enveloped the drop of blood of the Zhurong shaman clan, absorbing and growing continuously. The refining speed was rather fast. However, that drop of blood seemed to have endless energy and did not disappear at all. It was rather strange. Outside the arena, at this moment, the judges were arguing endlessly. I think it should be an accident this time. Indeed, such a powerful magnetic explosion can't be man-made. But the rules are the rules. No matter what, this Linwen did kill someone. Everyone chimed in one after another, expressing their own views. Obviously, they could not agree to it. The outcome had been decided, but the rules of the elite martial competition were still there. Killing was not allowed. Regardless of whether it was intentional or not, Lin Feng had killed Li Ming. This was an indisputable fact. The rules are the rules. How can they be broken? A deep shout sounded. Lu Zhan's eyes were shining brightly as he walked over with his head held high. If this precedent is set, the purpose of the elite martial competition will be broken. This Lin must be severely punished. He will be disqualified and banned from the competition for life. He will be expelled from Green Smoke City, and the Tsayu sect will be permanently disqualified. LV Ning's hatred for Lin Feng was at its peak. LV Ning's plan was ruined. He could not wait to kill Lin Feng. Today's third update, the first update. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 453. The judges were a little hesitant. Although Lu Zhan was in a high position and had great power, if they did as he said, the punishment was a bit too heavy. Suddenly, a loud and clear laughter came from not far away. Everyone looked over, their eyes slightly brightening, but LV Ning's brows were deeply furrowed. The man walked with a majestic gait and a broad back. He had a full beard on his face and looked quite heroic. He was one of the two people in power in Green Smoke City, the head of the Fong family, Fong Tiansheng. Head Lu, are you taking revenge because Lin Wen ruined your plan? Fong Tiansheng said with a smile. Fong Tiansheng, don't try to interfere, Lu Zhan said in a low voice. I've always been realistic. Fong Tiansheng laughed and said meaningfully, unlike some people who are narrow-minded and try to get in through the back door. Humph, Lu Zhan snorted disdainfully. No matter what, Lin Wen did kill someone. He must be severely punished. Otherwise, our reputation will be tarnished. It was just a small accident. Head Lu, why do you have to fan the flames? Fong Tiansheng smiled and looked at the crowd. Green Smoke City is not your home. The elite martial competition is not for you and me to decide. To be fair, let's vote. What do you think? The judges discussed and nodded in agreement. As you wish. Lu Zhan sneered and his expression changed slightly. Time passed second by second. In the spectators' seats, the discussion about the battle just now continued to increase, especially the violent magnetic explosion at the end, which left people with endless aftertaste. Seeing that the final punishment wasn't announced yet, the crowd started to clamor. Lin Feng raised his head and his gaze was deep. Suddenly, dong, a clear bell rang. As if it was a verdict, the crowd quieted down. The battle is over. Lin Wen of the Colored Jade sect wins. A deep voice suddenly sounded. The spectator seats burst into cheers and sighs. Some were happy and some were sad. The women of the Colored Jade sect cheered and clapped their hands to celebrate. They smiled happily, but this wasn't the end. After all the judges voted, the verdict is that Lin Wen killed Li Ming. The deep voice sounded again. However, because this was an accident, after weighing the severity of the matter, the assembly has decided to punish Lin Wen lightly as a warning. Lin Wen has lost the right to continue participating in the competition. No objections are allowed. As his voice fell, it was like a sudden clap of thunder. There was a heated discussion in the audience. There were some who applauded, and some who felt pity. Humph! Lu Meng coldly snorted. He stared coldly at Fong Tiansheng and left angrily. Fong Tiansheng smiled faintly, but ignored Lu Ning. The Fong and Lu families were at odds with each other, and this was not a matter of a day or two. Looking at Lin Feng in the arena, Feng Tianqing's eyes shone brightly. Lin Feng smiled faintly at the wave-like clamor in his ears. The result was not bad at all. As expected, the accident he created was still accepted. I thought there would be a lifetime ban, but that's saved, Lin Feng said softly. Accidental killing was a common occurrence in the elite martial competition. After all, if two cultivators with similar strength were to fight, no one could guarantee that they would not kill each other. Before he planned to kill Li Ming, Lin Feng had learned about many cases. Naturally, he had to think carefully before doing anything. Goodbye, elite martial arts competition. Lin Feng's lips curved into a faint smile. To him, the two goals of participating in the elite martial competition had been accomplished. He had no regrets. As for entering the top 10 and obtaining the right to enter the green smoke secret area, or entering the final round and obtaining the identity token of the Yanling Supreme Mansion, these were just icing on the cake. They were not essential. No. Ji Xia stood up in shock, his eyebrows tightly knitted. Sima Shi looked at Ji Xia and smiled. He knew his disciple's character too well. What's wrong, senior brother? Qin Shanqian was confused. Damn it. Ji Xia clenched his right fist, his blue eyes changing instantly. Shanqian, don't you understand your senior brother? Sima, she said with a smile. Why did you participate in the elite martial competition? For fun. Qin Shanqian answered without hesitation. Instantly, everyone nodded in agreement. I see. Master, Ji Xia looked at Sima Shi and said in a low voice, can you restore Lin Wen's qualification to participate? Sima, she shook his head. My disciple, don't be too demanding. That's right, Qin Shanqian said. Lin Wen is definitely not your match anyway. Ji Xia exhaled deeply and clenched his fists. Disappointment was written all over his face. He really wanted to fight. Seriously, we were disqualified because of this, Pei Hong said indignantly. Forget it, sister. It's already been decided. Pei Qing comforted her. We were already in the top 10, little Lu pouted. It's so unfair to Lin to go. He didn't do it on purpose. On purpose? Pei Hong and Pei Qing looked at each other. They thought of the people in Fengyang Valley. It was obvious that they hated Lin Feng. Could it be? At this moment, the door at the entrance of the passageway opened, and Lin Feng's figure appeared instantly. Lindigo is back. Little Lu exclaimed in surprise and ran over. Pei Hong and Pei Qing smiled faintly and went up to welcome him. It didn't matter if Lin Feng did it on purpose or not. What did it have to do with them? Damn it, Ding Can clenched her teeth. Her expression was a little terrifying. She schemed to harm Wei Xian to win senior brother Li's heart. However, she didn't expect that senior brother Li would be destroyed by Lin Feng. She hated him to the core. Ding Can wasn't the only one who hated Lin Feng. Ding Hong's eyes were as sharp as a devil's. He wanted to skin Lin Feng and drink Lin Feng's blood. However, Lin Feng was still alive and well. In fact, Lin Feng didn't have time to care about the people in Fengyang Valley. Let's go, Lin Feng said with a smile. Lin Feng, are you okay? Pei Hong asked hesitantly. What's the matter? Lin Feng asked curiously. Nothing, nothing. Pei Qing smiled and held Pei Hong's hand. Let's go. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. He smiled and left with the people from Sci-Fei sect. The people of Rising Wind Valley who were left behind, gnashing their teeth in anger, had suffered a double loss. The battle between Lin Feng and Li Ming was lively and exciting. However, the elite martial art competition had entered the third round of the main competition. Every battle was a battle between experts. It was equally exciting. Lin Feng's departure didn't cause the competition to lose too much of its luster. In order to enter the top 10, every cultivator went all out. Entering the green smoke mystic realm was indeed very dangerous. However, there were also huge benefits. Ji Xia, Qin Shanqian, Bai Shun, Hu Pao, and all the other experts cleanly defeated their opponents and entered the fourth round. As the competition went on, it became more and more exciting. People had already forgotten about Lin Feng's battle. However, Lin Feng didn't care about the false reputation at all. So what if he became the champion of the elite martial arts competition? He was just a passerby in Green Smoke City. He had never forgotten the goal in his heart. His father, Zi Yao, and many others. There were too many things waiting for him to do in the Douling world. However, no matter what he did, he couldn't do without one thing: increase his strength. Lin Feng deeply understood the importance of strength. The Douling world was even more cruel than the Tianwu continent. The human race was just a vassal of the sorcerer race. The sorcerer race wasn't the master of the Douling world either. In order to survive in this vast and boundless land, the only way was to keep on cultivating and cultivating. He had to become a true expert. Lin Feng went into seclusion. Once he returned, Lin Feng said a few words and entered the training hall. Breakthrough to the Star Sea state. The blood of the Zhurong sorcerer race didn't cause any trouble. Due to the existence of the Phoenix natal chart, the Fire Fate astrolabe was forcibly fusing with this drop of blood. The breakthrough to the War God level had nothing to do with the Phoenix natal chart. It was only about the strength of the body itself. 3 needs to be guided. The energy in my human soul heart is enough. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The most important of the 3 needs was the human soul heart. This was the huge bottleneck that limited 99% of the war gods. The energy required to advance from the 7-star river state to the peak star river state was as vast as the ocean. This was the reason why every war god would crazily pursue the peak mental cultivation method. The higher the grade of the mental cultivation method, the more energy of heaven and earth it could absorb, and the faster it could be absorbed. Perhaps one could consume all kinds of immortal fruits and herbs that contain the energy of heaven and earth to absorb it faster. However, how many war gods could afford this price? As for Lin Feng, his human soul heart was already full. The 100 waterfalls crazily absorbed the energy of the water droplets. Although most of it was absorbed by the water fate astrolabe, every time the energy of the water droplets was absorbed by the human soul heart, a tiny bit would seep out and be absorbed by the human soul heart. Even if it was just a tiny bit, it couldn't withstand such a huge amount. If it wasn't for the limitations of the body, the human soul heart would have evolved long ago. Body, 7-star river state, minimum requirement. The last requirement is sufficient energy of heaven and earth. Lin Feng smiled faintly. He didn't need to absorb beast crystals to replenish the energy of heaven and earth. Even the purest beast crystals would have impurities that would cause a lot of interference in the process of breaking through to the Star Sea state. Perhaps using beast crystals to break through is cheap, but would he care about this little bit of money? According to what Senior High said, using immortal fruits is the best way to break through. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He casually took out 3 4-star immortal fruits. Instantly, a fragrant aroma filled his nose. The entire training hall was filled with a pleasant atmosphere. 4 normal breakthroughs, 1 4-star immortal fruit, and a few 3-star immortal fruits would be enough. 3 4-star immortal fruits are more than enough. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. In the blessed land in the chaotic swamp, there were dozens of 4-star immortal fruits. He had only collected a small portion of them. There's still the last key. Lin Feng reached out his right hand. The human-grade 5th stage soul divergence technique appeared in front of him instantly. Soul divergence technique. Activate the war god spirit and unlock the body's password. This was the most crucial thing. Let's begin. Lin Feng let out a deep breath. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 454. There are 7 war god spirits in the human body. Tianchong and spiritual wisdom are the heaven spirits. Essence, heroic, spirit, strength, and core are the earth spirits. Every time an earth spirit is activated, the war god level will increase by 1. Lin Feng flipped through the soul divergence art with bright eyes. The activation of the earth spirits required sensing. With the chi of heaven and earth as the axis, it formed a sensing path in the body. And this was the origin of the soul attraction art. The higher the grade of the soul attraction art, the stronger the sensing ability and the shorter the time required. But whether one could sense it or not depended on one's luck. When I opened the hero's soul, it wasn't so complicated, Lin Feng thought. He still remembered clearly what happened on the Netherworld ship. Under Duo's guidance, he first connected all the meridians of the heroic spirit. Then, he expanded his meridians with the help of the Golden Wheel's unlimited chi of heaven and earth. Finally, Aurora, illumination, forcefully activating the spirit. Indeed, I didn't know it back then, but now, Lin Feng smiled. The difference was obvious. The same activation, but the difference in difficulty was huge. Moreover, with Duo's help, he could choose any of the 5 earth spirits. But now, he had to rely on sensing to see which one was easier. The cultivation system of the Starry Sky experts is indeed powerful. Lin Feng sighed deeply. But now, he didn't have any help. He could only rely on himself. Phew! Lin Feng closed his eyes gently. His body had countless meridians. The main meridians and branch meridians were like a river. They had countless branches, and within the branches, there were even more branches. Layer by layer, they formed a complicated flow diagram. Ordinary people's meridians were simple. They only needed to supply the body's basic needs. But martial artists were different. When the cells were strengthened, the meridians in the body would also be strengthened. Those hidden and small meridians had already been activated. His body was like a complicated maze. Just activating the heroic spirit that day had connected tens of thousands of meridians. One could imagine, Emperor Shun's Earth Spirit. Lin Feng shouted. A familiar feeling instantly appeared. The chi of heaven and earth turned into Earth Spirit and flowed in his body, forming many branches. Step by step, Lin Feng adapted to the routes and branches of the stellar energy flow, constantly revolving and expanding within his body. The memories in his mind were very clear. Lin Feng didn't need to memorize them for several days like an ordinary martial artist. The soul divergence art had already been deeply imprinted in his mind. His gang chi continued to flow. It was as if it was looking for a path, flowing through the maze of his body. Lin Feng was very careful, but nothing could be perfect. The first time was bound to be full of mistakes and loopholes. 6 hours later, Lin Feng let out a long breath. After making several mistakes, he had finally completed the first round. Wrong twice. Lin Feng shook his head, not satisfied. If the other war gods knew about this, they would probably be speechless. More than 90% of the war gods would spend at least 10 days to half a month cultivating the soul attraction technique for the first time. It was already very difficult to memorize it, yet he had to complete it without missing a single bit. Which war god didn't fail to practice the soul attraction technique for the first time? Success was built on countless failures. With the first experience, Lin Feng quickly got the hang of it. The second time, the flow of the gang chi slowed down, but there were no mistakes. The time spent was exactly 2 hours. The third time, he slowly familiarized himself with it and spent an hour. The fourth time, he improved again and again. Practice makes perfect. The speed at which Lin Feng learned the soul attraction technique was quite astonishing. In fact, war gods who had reached the 7th stage of the galaxy level would start to learn and master the soul attraction technique very early on. Time passed slowly. Lin Feng's speed of using the soul divergence art became faster and faster, more and more perfect. The gang chi followed a specific path and flowed in his body, producing a strange energy resonance. It was like a sound, like a soft drum. Bit by bit, drop by drop, it flowed in his body. The stronger the body, the stronger the meridians, and the more gang chi it could contain. When it reached a certain value and exceeded the limit, the energy resonance would appear. I wonder how long it will take. Lin Feng thought to himself. This process varies from person to person. It can take as little as a few days or as long as half a month. There were also a lot of people who were unable to sense the existence of the divine battle spirit due to their lack of talent. even if they met all the requirements. According to Duo, my war god aptitude is intermediate 5th grade. This aptitude is considered medium in the Doling world. It won't be a problem for me to break through to the Star Sea level, but I'll need a bit of luck to break through to the Star Lord level. Lin Feng pondered. The war god aptitude was his weakest link. But now, it was the most important link. In the room, the girls were in a heated discussion. The 7-star suite had everything, including video recordings of every match of the elite martial arts tournament. Although Lin Feng had lost his qualification, it didn't stop the girls from paying attention to the martial competition. After all, this was a grand event held annually in Green Smoke City. The top 10 are out. Pei Hong's eyes were bright. As expected, there are many familiar faces. Pei Qing nodded. One of the spots should have been Linda Ge. Little Jade pouted. She was still unhappy. Pei Hong and Pei Qing looked at each other and shook their heads. The result was already decided. What could they do? Do you think Lin Feng can win if he continues to participate? Pei Hong suddenly asked. This? Pei Qing hesitated. After a long time, she said softly, it's hard to say. She couldn't understand Lin Feng's strength at all. It was like water in a well. Bottomless. Of course, Linda Ge is the strongest. Little Jade raised her head and said confidently, You little girl. Pei Hong scolded with a smile. Her eyes suddenly lit up. She muttered to herself, I don't know why, but although it's unbelievable, I also believe that if Lin Feng continues to participate, he can really create a miracle and win. Pei Qing's eyes sparkled. She smiled. At this moment, knock, knock, knock. Crisp and rhythmic knocks sounded at the door. The 3 girls looked at each other and were surprised. Lin Feng had already dismissed all the attendants and service staff. Pei Hong stepped forward and gently opened the door. Ah, the girls exclaimed. Hello. The soft voice was extremely polite. The one who spoke was a young man about the same height as Lin Feng. His blue eyes were bright. You are. Pei Hong's eyes widened. Ji Xia, one of the top 10. Little Jade exclaimed. That's me. Ji Xia nodded and said politely, Sorry to disturb you. May I ask if Lin Wen is here? The 3 girls looked at each other. Ji Xia's eyes instantly understood. He said, Don't worry, I don't mean any harm. What's the matter? Pei Qing stepped forward with a smile. Ji Xia hesitated for a moment and frowned. Excuse me, can you pass on a message? Politeness demands reciprocity. From Ji Xia's behavior, there was no malice. Pei Hong shook her head and said, Sorry, my junior brother just went into seclusion. Is that so? Ji Xia nodded and said, How long will he be in seclusion? I'm not sure. Pei Hong replied, If it's fast, it could be a few days. If it's slow, it could be more than 10 days. Oh, Ji Xia's eyes sparkled. Pei Qing smiled and said, If there's something important, leave a message. When junior brother comes out of seclusion, we'll immediately inform him. Ji Xia nodded and took out a green stone the size of copper coin. It emitted a strange luster. Please give this to him. This is... Pei Qing took it with a puzzled expression. The key to enter the green smoke secret realm. Ji Xia ignored the shocked expressions of the girls and said seriously, Maybe it's useless to him, but I think he deserves it. Also, please tell Lin Wen that I'll come to find him 10 days later when the elite martial competition ends. At that time, I'll give him the identity token of the Yinling Imperial residence and wait for him. Ji Xia's blue eyes instantly lit up. Let's continue the battle of the top 10. His voice was sonorous and his words were firm. The expressions of the girls changed as they were completely stunned. By the time they reacted, he was already far away. Lin Feng was completely focused in the training hall, so he naturally didn't know that Ji Xia had arrived. He was already completely proficient in using the soul divergence technique. The energy resonance was very weak, but it was like dripping water penetrating a stone, triggering the war god's spirit. It was very slow, but it was a necessary process. The efficiency is too low. There's not enough heaven and earth energy surging. Lin Feng thought to himself as he suddenly opened his eyes, which shone brightly. Wait! Lin Feng suddenly stopped and thought, Since it's too slow to use the Emperor Shun's aura, why don't I just use the purest heaven and earth energy? Use immortal fruits to replace it. He did as he thought. Instantly, Lin Feng took out a 3-star immortal fruit. Its fragrance assailed his nostrils as it instantly entered his stomach. Lin Feng closed his eyes and focused again. A pure flow of qi instantly appeared, filled with a vast amount of heaven and earth energy. Lin Feng carefully controlled this stream of heaven and earth energy and quickly began to use the soul divergence technique. The first time, the second time, the third time, there's no problem at all. Lin Feng was excited. Not only was there no difference, but it was also much more efficient. The energy resonance was more than 10 times more powerful. With this, I should be able to save a lot of time, Lin Feng thought. In fact, only Lin Feng was so extravagant. Not only could he use immortal fruits to replace it, but he could also use beast crystals. It was just that it was very wasteful. However, to Lin Feng, wasting some 3-star immortal fruits was nothing. Most importantly, it was effective. 2 hours. 4 hours. 6 hours. On average, he used up a 3-star immortal fruit every 2 hours. However, as long as he could increase the speed, Lin Feng was willing to part with it. There would always be a return on investment. After continuously using the soul divergence technique for 10 hours, Lin Feng finally felt an inexplicable change in his body. His heartbeat quickened. The flow of his blood seemed to have become extremely slow. Time seemed to have stopped. In an instant, as if he felt something, Lin Feng was shocked. This is third update. Sorry, everyone. Something happened at home, so I'm a little late. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 456. In his heart, there was a familiar rhythm. This was not the location of any kind of earth soul, but a hazy, strangely bright spot of light was shining faintly. Immersing his mind into it, Lin Feng felt as if he had entered the shining light spot. Everything in front of him seemed to have been lifted, and everything became clear in an instant. It's actually this? Lin Feng was shocked. What he saw was an extremely beautiful heart that flickered with an exquisite luster, beating like a pulse. At first glance, it looked no different from a heart, but it was not a heart. The heart of the witch demon. Ever since it fused with my body, I could no longer find it. I didn't expect it to be here. Lin Feng muttered to himself. All this time, no matter how the heart of the witch demon fluctuated, even if it warned him time and time again, his body could feel it, but he could not find it. Because of this, he was very puzzled, not knowing where the heart of the witch demon went, but in the end, he actually found it here. But why can the soul attraction technique sense the heart of the witch demon? Lin Feng was puzzled. After pondering for a while, Lin Feng suddenly reacted. Could it be, this is one of the heaven souls, the soul of wisdom? Lin Feng was shocked, but the more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Other than that, there was no other explanation. Of the 7 war god souls, only the soul of wisdom existed near the heart. A familiar feeling, a familiar beat. Lin Feng looked at the heart of the witch demon and felt a strong vitality. Suddenly, Lin Feng let out a soft cry of surprise, and his vision instantly became clearer. Looking closely, he actually saw a faint green light spot at the edge of the heart of the witch demon. It was very faint, and compared to the heart of the witch demon, it was like the difference between a firefly and a bright moon. But this green dot of light was clearly visible on the transparent lich's heart. There's more than one. Lin Feng quickly found another one. His eyes were burning, as if he was looking for flaws. In a short while, Lin Feng found 4 green light spots. There was a sense of déjà vu in it. It's the blood of the Gomong Magi. Lin Feng instantly understood. The heart of the lich carried a faint aura of wood, as if it had been marked by the blood of the Gomang shaman tribe. Even though it was inaudible, it was extremely clear. He could completely sense it. It's like Ru Xian's soul has been imprinted, Lin Feng thought. Now, he finally understood why the heart of Magus couldn't absorb the blood of Zhu Rong Magi. They were incompatible. Images repel one another. It was like a cultivator's origin heart. Of the 5 origin energies, one could only choose one. Wah! Lin Feng instantly withdrew his senses. The excitement in his heart was uncontrollable. Among the 7 war god spirits, the Tianchong and Ling Hui heavenly spirits were the hardest to awaken. And now, the opportunity had appeared. Draw, Lin Feng shouted. The moment the 4-star immortal fruit entered his stomach, a surge of Pang Rant's heaven and earth chi, which was 10 times stronger than the 3-star immortal fruit, exploded in his body like a balloon. Lin Feng's eyes were extremely bright as he sensed this astonishing energy. He was like a shepherd herding sheep, herding all the sheep into that faintly shining light. Ling Hui soul. However, it was like a river flowing into the sea. The astonishing energy produced by the 4-star immortal fruit was subjected to an extremely strong suction force. That faintly shining Ling Hui soul absorbed all the energy in just a little bit. It was like a lion opening its mouth, but only swallowing a tiny ant. This meager energy was like a stone sinking into the sea, unable to cause any ripples. Soul drawing? It was too far away. The 4-star immortal fruit continued to produce energy, but it couldn't satisfy the Ling Hui soul at all. The gap between the two was like a chasm between heaven and earth. How could an ant move a tree? In just a short while, this 4-star immortal fruit, which was worth more than 1,000 soul coins, was completely consumed. However, it didn't have any effect at all. It's too far away, Lin Feng thought to himself. He wasn't a greedy person. He knew very well that this Ling Hui soul was far beyond his ability. It was like a baby wanting to run as soon as it was born. It was impossible. No matter what, being able to sense the existence of the Ling Hui soul is already an unexpected surprise. The corners of Lin Feng's mouth curled up slightly. Although he couldn't do anything to it now, as his strength increased, he would slowly find a way. At the very least, he had found the most secret door hidden in his body. He wasn't in a hurry to open it. Again, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. It had only been 10 hours, but he had already sensed one of the divine battle souls. It was undoubtedly an excellent start. His confidence had increased by another level. Even the heaven soul can sense it. How can the earth soul not sense it? Lin Feng smiled calmly. Then he closed his eyes, and the circulation route of the soul divergence technique appeared in his mind. Lin Feng instantly focused and immersed himself in it. Feng residence. Father, isn't the price too high? The one who spoke was a girl in embroidered clothes. She had a slender and beautiful figure and bright eyes. Her light makeup accentuated her graceful and beautiful figure, and her snow-white skin was smooth and delicate. Exquisite earrings and a luxurious necklace. Her family was obviously well off. The eldest daughter of the Feng family, Feng and I. It's worth it, Feng Tianxing laughed heartily. I'm just afraid the other warriors of the Feng family will be dissatisfied, Feng and I said with a frown. Ha! Feng Tianxing laughed. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. Why do they have to be dissatisfied? In the Feng family, I, Feng Tianxing, am a man of my word. Who dares to go against me? Father, is this Lin Wen really that valuable? Feng and I pondered. Feng Tianxing smiled. He stood up and patted Feng Ni's shoulder. Daughter, you don't understand the world of warriors. I've been in the Yanling residence for dozens of years. What kind of warriors have I not seen? I can tell whether they are dragons or worms at a glance. As long as this Lin Wen is carefully nurtured, he will definitely become a great talent in the future. As soon as he finished speaking, a black shadow flashed in from outside the door. Patriarch, the black shadow half knelt on the ground. It was a curly-haired man. How's the investigation, Feng Tong? Feng Tianxing asked. Patriarch, Lin Wen, and the people of the Color Jade sect are staying in the 7-star suite of the Reflection Tower. They haven't left even half a step, the curly-haired man, Feng Tong, cupped his hands and said, "Seven-star suite." Fong Tiansheng and Fong and I were both stunned. Fong Ni's beautiful eyes lit up. It's rumored that Lin Wen won at least 1,000 Douling coins. It seems that it's true. Fong Tiansheng laughed involuntarily. This kid is really rich and overbearing. He's very extravagant. That's not the case, Patriarch. Fong Tong said solemnly. According to my investigation, Lin Wen and the people of the colored jade sect stayed in the 7-star suite on the first day they entered the city. Fong Tiansheng and Fong Ni's expressions immediately turned serious. What kind of sect was the colored jade sect? They were so poor that they could see the bottom. Even an ordinary room in the reflection tower was a burden to them, let alone a 7-star suite. It seems that this Lin Wen isn't simple. Fong Tiansheng's eyes burned brightly. He suddenly turned his head and said, I'll leave this matter to you. What do you think? No problem, father. Fong and I nodded. After a full day and night, he used 13 3-star spirit fruits. Finally, he got his reward. It's the aura. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. He could feel the abnormality in his left hand. As the heaven and earth energy flowed, the meridians in his left hand appeared. This included some subtle and invisible things that were vaguely visible. At his left elbow, a bright spot of light shone. It was very clear and was different from the spiritual wisdom aura. That's it, Lin Feng exclaimed. He ate a 4-star immortal fruit without any hesitation. To him, opening any of the 5 types of earth souls was not a problem. The most important thing was the increase in his strength. Whoosh! Abundant energy spread to his limbs and 5 meridians. A shocking aura appeared again. Under Lin Feng's control, it went straight to the aura in his left hand. The spot of light instantly shone brightly. Attract! Lin Feng shouted. There was no shocking suction force, nor was there the feeling of a whale swallowing a small fish. This time, it was truly attracting the aura. It was like a sharp arrow piercing through the aura and waking it up from its deep sleep. The soul heart rotated rapidly. The resonance of energy connected the two closely together. Spirit chi slowly gathered. Lin Feng was immersed in his own world and could not feel it. But at this moment, the surrounding spirit chi had already condensed outside his body. Bit by bit, drop by drop. It was like a snowman getting thicker and thicker. In an instant, bang, it was like an explosion. The aura emitted a dazzling light, and the energy waves were extremely intense. It was like a sun emitting rays of light, completely enveloping his body. At this moment, Lin Feng could no longer feel anything. His head was buzzing, and his left hand seemed to have lost feeling. The powerful energy vibrating at his elbow brought about a sound like a baby crying. In an instant, the spirit chi that wrapped around Lin Feng's body flowed crazily. It rotated rapidly like a whirlpool, revolving around Lin Feng's body. It was like a thunder in spring. A red beam of light descended from the sky. It was as thick as 2 hands clasped together, and it rumbled. The sky trembled. A shocking amount of heaven and earth energy poured into his body. Every inch of his skin and every cell in his body could feel that extreme energy. Lin Feng focused his mind and felt the rotation and changes of the soul heart. Under the guidance of the red light, it seemed to have a unique consciousness. It rushed in and wrapped the soul heart like a dumpling. Very quickly, a shocking amount of energy poured in quickly, and the soul heart rotated rapidly. The sphere formed by the purest heaven and earth energy shone brightly. Under the cover of the boundless aura, it became illusory and hazy. As the soul heart rotated, streams of heaven and earth energy scattered into the soul river, completely fusing with the star-like soul power. One piece and another piece. The heaven and earth spirit chi seemed to be inexhaustible. It was completely inexhaustible. The energy in the soul river changed instantly, from pure soul power to pure heaven and earth energy. The spinning soul heart sphere rotated rapidly, releasing the most original energy. Under the drive of the red light, it seemed to be disintegrating. The spirit chi outside his body slowly dissipated, and the heaven and earth energy entered his body. Only the red light pillar that was born in the void was left. At the last moment, it was like a bolt of lightning. It blasted from top to bottom and pierced through his entire body. A huge amount of energy fell on the soul heart like thunder, becoming the last straw that broke the camel's back. In an instant, bang, the soul heart collapsed. Continue writing. Write as many chapters as you can until 3 in the morning. Then, Xiao Xiao will go to the hospital to take care of her daughter. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 457. At that moment, Lin Feng seemed to see a blurry shadow. A huge body, thick and strong, like a kind of demonic beast, but he couldn't tell what it was. The shadow was too blurry. Suddenly, a red light appeared in front of his eyes. He slowly enlarged it until it completely covered his eyes. Suddenly, pop! The red light dissipated. Lin Feng felt that he was immersed in a chaotic starry sky. The scene in front of him slowly faded away and shrank. The familiar feeling returned. Lin Feng was startled. The stars were so bright that they covered the entire starry sky. In front of him, there was a red light spot. What a powerful energy! Lin Feng exclaimed. He could clearly feel the radiance of the energy. Compared to the red dots of light, the dazzling dots that were scattered all over the place were as tiny as ants. However, this red light spot was really small. Yet, its energy was extremely powerful. It was as if there was a special power that made it difficult for people to approach. It was filled with endless mystery. Lin Feng looked around. The memories in his mind were instantly restored. Everything suddenly became clear to him, and he instantly understood everything. Wasn't this his human soul? The human soul's heart changed from a solitary branch to a starry sky. The huge sphere formed by the energy of heaven and earth had disappeared. However, this starry sky was filled with the energy of heaven and earth. From 1 to 1,000 to 10,000 to 10 million to 10 million to a trillion, countless resplendent spots of light. The most important first step had been completed. This was the most important step. It was the beginning of a long road. It was as if he had chosen the only correct path among thousands of different paths. Next, Lin Feng, who was familiar with the entire process, knew what would happen. As expected, it has begun. Lin Feng's eyes narrowed. The human soul that had completely evolved gradually took shape. The energy of heaven and earth it contained was extremely strong. At the outermost area of the human soul, the condensed red mist turned into a long snake of energy. It instantly started to move. As if it had a mind of its own, it flowed through the entire body. It didn't need any control. It only needed to wait and to endure. Pa! Pa! His meridians were ruptured, as if they had been forcibly squeezed open. However, they instantly merged with the energy of the red mist and strengthened. All the main meridians, branch meridians, and all the existing meridians were visited by the red mist. The speed was slow, but the efficiency was very high. Lin Feng's eyes were closed, and there was no expression on his face. Even though the pain was intense, he was already used to it. If he couldn't even endure such a small amount of pain, could he still be considered a man? It was a complicated process. The red mist was like a machine that was operating accurately. It seemed to have a consciousness of its own, which was very strange. The expansion of the meridians brought with it a greater capacity and toughness, allowing the meridians to contain more gang qi and withstand more gang qi. He improved his body from the very foundation, over and over again, from slow to fast, from fast to even faster, and finally galloped through his body, until his meridians were completely able to contain this astonishing red mist. Time flew by. Lin Feng couldn't sense it at all. Every minute, every second, pain and happiness. Not only did it increase his strength, but he also had to endure a considerable amount of pain. However, what was in the past would always be in the past. The second step seems to be almost complete, Lin Feng thought to himself. He was already halfway through breaking through from the galaxy level to the galaxy level. The red mist moved faster and faster, and there was more and more energy. At this moment, Lin Feng was already gritting his teeth, and his expression was completely focused. He had reached the most critical moment. The third step, charge. It seemed like a long time had passed from the spirit guiding stage to the spirit charging stage. But in reality, it was only an instant. One round, the resonance of energy brought about the connection between the human soul and the aura. From beginning to end, and from end to end, it formed a tight connection. It was like a loop from the end to the beginning. It's here. Lin Feng's eyes widened instantly. He grabbed a 4-star immortal fruit with his right hand and swallowed it. Extremely powerful energy instantly exploded within his body. The red mist rushed towards his aura like a falling meteor. There was a loud boom. Bang! Lin Feng felt as if his head was about to explode. Extreme dizziness came over him. But Lin Feng's willpower was extremely strong. His body seemed to have become a battlefield. The red mist and the aura clashed, creating intense energy waves. The two different types of energy collided, and the strong force caused the red mist to retreat. But at this moment, the entire aura was completely sealed. The shocking energy brought by the 4-star immortal fruit completely exploded at this moment. It was as if the door to the arena had been closed, causing the red mist and aura to only be able to fight again and again. The intense collision was like lightning striking the earth. Lin Feng gritted his teeth. The shattered red mist continuously clashed with the energy of heaven and earth that sealed his aura and consumed it. The originally thick barrier instantly became thin. But again, Lin Feng gritted his teeth and shouted. Another 4-star immortal fruit entered his stomach, and the new reinforcements immediately established a firm line of defense. The red mist was completely trapped, and it triggered a strong reaction from the aura. The two continuously clashed, and sparks finally appeared. The red mist mixed with the aura was extremely vibrating. His left hand seemed to be filled with lead, and it was incomparably heavy. The resplendent light emitted an intense luster. In an instant, a violent explosion resounded in his mind. The light was resplendent. Boom! The red mist completely collapsed, and it was as if a bomb had been instantly detonated. It completely exploded. The shocking power instantly broke through the energy of heaven and earth outside the aura, as if it had cut through a layer of paper defense. The fiery red light spots were mixed with a strange white energy, and they dispersed. There were millions of them, tens of millions of them, too many to count. The fiery red light of various sizes instantly poured into every corner of his body. They fused into his bones, organs, and every inch of his skin, and fused with his cells. This mixed and fused energy was like a catalyst, causing everything it came into contact with to evolve. Lin Feng was finally moved. This time, it was the beginning of the true pain. But it was something every war god martial artist had to go through to break through to the StarCraft level. It was like forging a divine weapon. It had to go through countless refinements before it could truly take shape. Endure. Lin Feng bit his lips and clenched his hands into fists. Every time he suffered pain, his body would improve again and again. Compared to the war god, the war god's body was stronger and stronger. At the center of the red mist explosion, the meridians in his left hand were completely activated. More than 50% of the fused energy existed in these large and small meridians, spreading everywhere. No matter how remote the place was, there was still the fused energy, which completely opened up the blocked meridians. How rude! Lin Feng tried his best to suppress the pain and laughed. Back then, he had opened up all the meridians in the heroic spirit bit by bit, but now it was different. The tyrannical nature of the fused energy although it caused the body to suffer great pain, it took effect very quickly. In just a few hours, all the meridians in the heroic spirit were opened up and strengthened. A familiar feeling slowly assaulted him as his body strengthened. So comfortable. Lin Feng felt that his meridians were completely opened up and his body was greatly improved. He enjoyed this tranquility and the changes in his body. Lin Feng felt like he was bathing in the spring breeze. As his strength continued to increase, there was an indescribable joy in his heart. Is this the feeling of the StarCraft level? Lin Feng closed his eyes and felt his body. The improvement of his body was much stronger than he imagined. The benefits of dual cultivation were unparalleled. It was a fundamental improvement, and the increase from the Star River level to the StarCraft level was multiplied. Now his body, it had completely transformed. I'm afraid it's even stronger than the StarCraft level 3 Ding Hong. Lin Feng smiled and was very satisfied, because he was only a level 1 StarCraft level. Transformation, evolution, it took a long time. What consumed the most was the energy of the body and the perception of the mind. Immersed in the improvement of his new body, Lin Feng felt a numb feeling all over his body. His cells kept dividing and growing, and he felt a sense of fatigue. Then, he fell into a deep sleep. There was no time for cultivation. This sentence had been heard in the Douling world for a long time. Immersed in cultivation, martial artists had no idea how much time had passed. Inside the room, the three women were staring at the huge light screen intently. It was currently showing the final match of the elite martial competition. It was a competition without any suspense. Ji Xia versus Qin Qianqian. Compared to the soul-stirring semifinals, this final match was ordinary and mediocre, without any sparks. I heard that these two are martial siblings. Seems like it's true. Pei Qing nodded. So boring. Pei Hong pouted. I thought there would be a good show. I didn't expect it to be so much worse than the semifinals. The girls discussed. As Lin Feng went into seclusion, 9 days had passed. The elite martial competition decided the top 10, then the top 4, and the semifinals. Now the dust had settled. As expected, he won the championship. Pei Hong nodded, her eyes sparkling. It seems that his confidence in himself is correct. Pei Qing said. At this time, the competition on the big screen had ended. Ji Xia won the championship without any bloodshed. Despite the fact that the final was so ordinary, no one would say anything. Because Ji Xia's championship was very valuable. First, he defeated one of the top 4 last year, Hu Pao. Then he eliminated last year's champion, Bai Shun, in the semifinals. Everyone believed that no matter who his opponent was in the final, Ji Xia would easily win the championship. This could be seen from the shocking difference in the odds. In this year's elite martial competition, Ji Xia was like a lonely king, invincible. He didn't even seem to use his full strength. It's going to be 10 days soon. Lin De hasn't come out yet. Xiaolu looked at the martial arts hall and muttered. Lin Feng shouldn't be a match for him. Pei Hong pursed her lips and said softly. After watching all the matches in the elite martial competition, she finally knew how strong Ji Xia was. What he said that day wasn't just empty talk. He truly possessed an extremely powerful strength. At this time, "What are you talking about me behind my back?" A clear voice suddenly sounded. As the door of the martial arts hall was pushed open, Lin Feng walked out slowly with an indifferent smile. His eyes were shining. Lin Feng had come out of seclusion. I'm half an hour late in writing this chapter. My wife is probably worried. Xiao Xiao has to go to the hospital to take care of her daughter. The main thing is that I've been worried about my daughter, so my writing speed is much slower. Xiao Xiao doesn't like to find excuses. There are so many things to do every day, and life is always full of variables. No matter what, Xiao Xiao will continue to write and never ask for leave. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 458. Lin Feng, Linda Ge. When the three girls saw Lin Feng, they were pleasantly surprised. Lin Feng's seclusion this time was quite long, spending a total of 9 days. Lin Feng smiled indifferently. Looking at the three girls' heartfelt smiles, Lin Feng felt warmth in his heart. After coming to the Douling world, his luck was indeed good. First, he met a good girl like Wei Xian. Then, he met the people of Kai-Fei's sect. It felt like home, making him feel warm. He couldn't help but think of the Tianwu continent, his mother, brother, and sister. I wonder how they are doing now. Lin Feng's eyes flashed with longing. He had left home for more than half a year. It would be a lie to say that he didn't miss them. Humans are humans because they have feelings and warm blood. When I go to the Vermilion Bird continent, find my uncle Lin Jing, and settle down, I'll think of a way to see if I can return to the Tianwu continent. Lin Feng pondered. He had already thought about it. After all, he was still drifting. It could be said that he didn't have a fixed place to stay. He had yet to establish a firm foothold in the Douling world. Linda Ge broke through to the star sea level. Pei Qing's beautiful eyes lit up. Not only her, Pei Hong and Xiao Lu opened their eyes wide, anticipating Lin Feng's answer. Yes. Lin Feng smiled slightly. His nonchalant expression caused the three girls to cry out in surprise. To them, the star sea level was an existence that they could only hope for but not reach. Now, Lin Feng had only spent 9 days to raise his cultivation base to this level. Congratulations, Linda Ge. Pei Qing smiled. A scholar who has been away for 3 days is really impressive. Pei Hong sighed, softly with envy in her eyes. Yeah. Xiao Lu clenched her small fist and said in surprise, Linda Ge, now you don't have to be afraid of Ji Xia. Fight with him. Ji Xia? Lin Feng was slightly startled, but he felt puzzled. What relationship did he have with Ji Xia? Look at me. Pei Hong smiled and immediately took out a green stone the size of a copper coin from her bosom. Here, Ji Xia asked us to give this to you. Lin Feng curiously took it. It was cool to the touch, and it carried a strange energy with a sparkling luster. This is the key to enter the green smoke secret realm. Pei Hong's eyes sparkled. The reward for entering the top 10 of the elite martial competition. Lin Feng's eyes lit up when he heard this, and his heart was slightly shaken. No wonder this green stone was so special. Ji Xia said that you deserved it. Pei Hong spoke out slowly. He asked us to tell you that after the elite martial competition ends 10 days from now, he'll bring along the identity command token of the Goose Feather Supreme Estate and come look for you. At that time, Pei Hong paused for a moment, and then her eyes instantly shone brightly. Continue the competition for the top 10. There was a sound when he landed, but Lin Feng's expression didn't change much. Holding the green stone in his hand, Lin Feng's mouth curved indifferently. He's an interesting person. What a good way to continue the top 10 competition. How many days have passed? Lin Feng suddenly asked. 9 days. Pei Qing replied, and looked at the huge pendulum. It's almost midnight, and it'll be 10 days soon. I've been in seclusion for so long. Lin Feng was surprised. He didn't expect that breaking through to the star sea level would take so much time. Last time, with the help of Duo, it only took 3 days to raise the level of the war god. That's true. Last time, it was just a simple breakthrough. It's not the same as this time. Lin Feng nodded lightly. He remembered it clearly. Last time, his human soul heart had already advanced along with the war god level. Including his body, it had already adapted to the star sea level. At that time, the increase in the war god level was just strengthening. But this time, it was a complete transformation. How could it be the same? What's more, how could the soul guiding technique compare to Duo's secret technique? One was passive, while the other was active. The difference was huge. Lin Feng, Ji Xia is very strong. Pei Hong hesitated and said seriously, he defeated Hu Pao, White God, and other strong warriors. The competition seemed intense, but I feel that Ji Xia didn't use his full strength. But even so, his strength still stands out from the rest, far surpassing other martial artists. Pei Hong didn't miss a single match in the elite competition. She was very clear about the strength of the other warriors. I know. Lin Feng's eyes were bright. From the very beginning, he knew that Ji Xia would be his greatest enemy in this elite martial competition. He gave him a very dangerous feeling. Even if your strength reaches the star sea level, to win against him. Pei Hong pursed her lips, paused, and shook her head. The chances are still very small. Star sea level is a new level, far different from Star River level. In the Star sea level, strength isn't everything. Star energy is the true source of power. Star energy? Lin Feng's eyes brightened. His mind suddenly remembered the battle with Ding Hong, and just as he was about to ask, suddenly, dong, dong, dong. Crisp and rhythmic knocks suddenly sounded. The three girls looked at each other. Pei Qing raised her head and looked at the huge pendulum. Lin Feng's eyes flashed with a bright light. Calmly, Lin Feng stepped forward and opened the door. Hua! A familiar face appeared in front of his eyes. That pair of blue eyes were shining brightly. As promised, I'm here. Ji Xia looked at Lin Feng and nodded indifferently. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Lin Feng smiled. Ji Xia's eyes were bright, and he stared at Lin Feng. You broke through. Yes. Lin Feng didn't hide it. After breaking through to the star sea level, the aura of the human soul was different. Ji Xia wasn't worried, but smiled. It's better to meet a worthy opponent. Lin Feng nodded, understanding Ji Xia's words. 3 days later, we'll continue the battle of the top 10. In this year's elite martial arts competition, if he hadn't lost the qualification, the first battle of the top 10 would be against Ji Xia. 9 Dragon Arena, 6th floor, Area 1, 3 days later. Be there or be square. Ji Xia's eyes were bright. Be there or be square. Lin Feng smiled. Master, master. Qin Xianqian's delicate voice could be heard from afar. Sima, she looked up and showed a faint smile. What's the matter, my little disciple? Qin Xianqian smiled and said secretly, Master, I just overheard senior brother and Lin Wen's battle. Really? Sima, she smiled. Your senior brother didn't find out? Qin Xianqian proudly puffed out his small chest. How can it be? I've learned everything from you, master. So my true inheritance is stealing chickens and touching dogs? Sima, she burst into laughter, her eyes filled with tender affection. Qin Xianqian was his last disciple, and his talent was excellent, not inferior to Ji Xia's at all. The only thing he lacked was the fighting spirit of a warrior, and his personality was too lively. How can that be, master? Qin Xianqian said angrily, and then whispered in Sima Shi's ear, 3 days later, at Area 1 of the 6th floor of the 9 Dragon Arena. Master, let's go and watch secretly? Why do we need to watch secretly? Sima Shi's eyes flashed, and he laughed. Since Xia'er chose the 9 Dragon Arena, it must be to continue the battle of the top 10. Master, what do you mean? Qin Xianqian was surprised. Sima Shi smiled. Since it's the top 10 battle, how can there be no audience? Training hall. Lin Feng was standing calmly, familiarizing himself with his new body. Having just entered the Star Sea level, he needed a certain amount of time to adapt to be able to use 100% of his strength. Therefore, Lin Feng set a time limit of 3 days. Star power. Lin Feng's eyes were burning, and there was a glimmer of light in them. He knew very little about the ranks of warriors. If he hadn't asked Pei Hong, he wouldn't have known that the Star Sea level was so mysterious. Star power determined everything. At the same level, a god of war with star power would be able to defeat a god of war without star power. Star power is a kind of energy of a higher level. It's more powerful than the spirit chi of heaven and earth. Lin Feng nodded secretly. The spirit chi of heaven and earth, and even the origin energy, were only limited to a world, and this world was called the Doling world. However, star power was different. Star power existed in the vast starry sky, and it was an extremely mysterious energy. Closing his eyes, Lin Feng immersed himself in his own world. He felt his new body and his transformed human soul. When he looked inside, his consciousness entered the human soul, and the familiar feeling came again. It was like a vast void, a sea of stars. bright starlight covered the entire human soul, and it was like a starry sky at night. Those bright light spots were very familiar. Each light spot was the convergence of the spirit chi of heaven and earth, and it was boundless. However, in this sea of spirit chi, there was only one place that was different. This is it. Lin Feng looked at the bright red light spot in front of him. As if it had a life of its own, this light spot shone brightly. It was floating in the void, but it made people feel that it was mysterious and had supreme power. Star power. The power of the starry sky. Is this what a god of war at the star sea level cultivates? Lin Feng's eyes were bright, but he felt a little helpless. According to Pei Hong, star power relied on perception. To build a bridge with the starry sky, one had to perceive the power of the starry sky, absorb it, and cultivate. And all of this couldn't be separated from the secret manual, the star gathering art. It was similar to the soul guiding art. He didn't have it either. The star gathering art was indispensable to be able to perceive star power. It was the bridge that established the connection. There's no other way for now. Let's go and see. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Like the soul guiding art, the star gathering art could also be bought in Green Smoke City, but its grade wouldn't be too high. The quality of the star gathering art directly affected the success rate of perceiving star power, and even the speed of cultivation after perceiving star power. I'm not in a hurry. Lin Feng nodded lightly. Perceiving star power wasn't that easy. According to Pei Hong, some gods of war at the star sea level couldn't perceive star power, even after cultivating for their entire lives. And this wasn't the minority. Many gods of war at the star sea level reached the 9th, 10th, and even 12th level in their entire lives. Their bodies were almost as strong as a Star Lord, but they would never be able to advance. This was because the key to reaching the Star Lord level from the star sea level was star power. Thank you for your concern. My daughter has a bacterial infection and is suffering from toxemia. Yesterday, Xiao Xiao took over my wife's work and accompanied her until 9 a.m. Although it's tiring, it's good news. My daughter's fever has subsided, and the swollen spots on her body have also disappeared a lot. I hope the heavens will bless my Yao Yao and let her pass this tribulation safely. Xiao Xiao just woke up and saw that my daughter had finished writing a chapter. Today, she will still write through the night and should be able to finish 3 chapters. No matter what happens, Xiao Xiao doesn't want this to be an excuse to be lazy. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 459. Lu Mansion. Father, I can't accept this. Lu Bao clenched his teeth, his eyes filled with pain. Losing the opportunity to become an inner disciple of Li Yin School was a huge blow to him. It was like finding a huge treasure, but it was taken away from him. Sigh. Lu Xun sighed. Looking at his son like this, what else could he say? Lu Bao wasn't the only one who couldn't accept this. He couldn't accept it either. However, what was done couldn't be undone. What could he do? Cultivate well. Lu Xun's eyes deepened. Son, you're still young. Next year, the year after that, or even a year after that. Lu Xun didn't finish his sentence. He knew that favors didn't exist. Sima, she had helped him once, but it didn't mean that he would help him a second time. Some things, once lost, were lost. It's him. It's all his fault. Lu Bao's face was as ferocious as a devil's. If it weren't for Lin Feng, he would have achieved his goal long ago. How could he be like a drowning dog now? Father, help me kill him. Lu Bao clenched his fists, his eyes cold. Lu Xun's eyes turned cold. He shook his head. It's hard. Everyone knows that you and Lin are like fire and water. If Lin, when is killed, the rumors will hurt the Lu family greatly. Fang Tiansheng, that old fox, will definitely add insult to injury. Green Smoke City was like a scale. The Lu family and the Fang family were on both sides of the scale. No one dared to make a mistake. Once there was a slight loss of gravity, the scale would tilt, and the situation would become very unfavorable. Don't be afraid, father. Lu Bao sneered. I know someone who hates Lin Feng more than we do. We don't need to do anything. As long as we promise great benefits, the smart ones will talk, and the stupid ones will do it. Lin Feng. Lu Jin was surprised. That Lin one, Lu Bao said coldly. He used the alias Lin Feng to sneak into Windrise Valley as a spy. Later, he was found murdered. His hatred for Windrise Valley is as deep as the sea. As long as we spread this news, everyone's attention will shift. Plus, Lin Feng killed Li Ming this time. It's one disaster after another. LV Ning's eyes instantly lit up, and he nodded. That's not a bad idea. LV Ning suddenly laughed. Father, Lin Feng's numinous treasure that can release black fog cannot be given to others, Lu Bao said hastily. In LV Bao's opinion, if it wasn't for that spiritual treasure, how could Lin Feng be his opponent? Of course. Killing intent flashed in LV Ning's eyes. In the training hall, Lin Feng seized the time to cultivate. Astral power was like a rock that couldn't be moved for the time being, but it didn't mean that other things couldn't be cultivated. Advancing from the Star River rank to the Star Sea rank brought about too many benefits. His body had improved in all aspects, especially the expansion and strengthening of his meridians, causing his stellar energy to transform completely. To the god of war, the body was the foundation, and stellar energy was the weapon. A true weapon would fundamentally affect the strength of a war god. Emperor Shun's Gang Qi. Lin Feng shouted. The Nightmare Demon Spear drew a huge wave, and the Sun Dragon Spear art was displayed. The aura of extreme yang condensed a pale white light. Whether it was the degree of condensation or the aura of power, it was far better than before. Boom! The air violently vibrated. Lin Feng's eyes brightened, and his feet moved slightly. In an instant, the Nightmare Demon Spear changed moves. Like silk, the Nightmare Demon Spear seemed to have turned into threads, and the fiery red spear body was completely wrapped in a pale white light. The Emperor Shun's Gang Qi's originally transparent aura had changed, as if it had changed from a building to a villa. Like a human soul, it had undergone a fundamental advancement. Qi, Qi, Qi. Like a nimble, poisonous snake, the spear's speed was far faster than before. Lin Feng's eyes flashed, and the spear intent appeared. The rapid speed didn't affect the spear intent at all, and instead perfectly displayed the word entanglement. Trance. It crazily squeezed the air, forming a low-pressure storm. Storm spear art. Finally, I've grasped the third layer of the second layer of the Emperor Shun strategy. Lin Feng let out a long breath. Stopping his cultivation, Lin Feng drank large mouthfuls of water, and his eyes revealed a trace of joy. The Emperor Shun's Gang Qi was much stronger than he had imagined. Just the first layer of the second layer was more powerful than the first layer of the seventh layer, and the second layer of the third layer was even more powerful. It was far from what it could be compared to before. No wonder the Emperor Shun strategy mentioned that every time a war god spirit is activated, I can cultivate one more layer. Lin Feng thought. By activating the war god spirit, one's strength would increase, and the meridians would expand, strengthen, and hold more and more Gang Qi. Furthermore, the meridians in his left hand were completely connected. Activating the aura, my left hand's attack power is now stronger than my right hand. Lin Feng smiled. Although he hadn't fused with any soul weapons, the increase in strength in his left hand was undeniable. Duo once said that soul weapons can't be fused at will. Rather than not being able to unleash the full power of the aura, it's better to leave it empty and wait for an opportunity. Lin Feng thought to himself, and had already made up his mind. It's better to go without than have something substandard. Although the soul artifact could be replaced, it could only affect the war god's spirit once. Furthermore, without Duo's help, even if he wanted to change his soul weapon, he wouldn't be able to do so. Unknowingly, 3 days have already passed. Lin Feng's eyes were deep. I've already adapted to my new body. Even if I can't unleash 100% of my strength, I can at least unleash 99% of it. I'll definitely be able to fight to my heart's content tomorrow. Lin Feng suddenly smiled. He didn't care about winning or losing, but he wanted the thrill of meeting a worthy opponent. He also wanted to fight with Ji Xia. He wanted to see what kind of level his strength had reached. There's still one more day. Lin Feng thought for a moment, and his eyes lit up. Let's go to Green Smoke City and look for the star fusion art first. The star fusion art was indispensable. Whether it was good or bad, at least he could make do with it for now. Really, Lindigo? Little Jade's eyes were filled with stars. Do I look like I'm joking? Lin Feng smiled indifferently. He looked at the women of colored Jade's sect and felt a warmth in his heart. Lin Feng nodded lightly. It's fate that brought us together. Since we're going to part tomorrow, I'll be the host today. Everyone, eat to your heart's content, play to your heart's content, and buy to your heart's content. The elite martial competition had already ended, and the people of colored Jade sect were supposed to leave 3 days ago. However, because of him, they stayed for another 3 days. According to Pei Hong, if she didn't finish watching the final battle, her heart would itch and she wouldn't be able to rest at ease. Since there's a rich man treating us, we won't be polite. Pei Qing smiled. Let's extort them properly. Pei Hong said fiercely. Let's go, senior sisters. Lin Feng smiled. A man and 3 women strolled in Green Smoke City. They laughed and joked from time to time. It's very eye-catching. As for Lin Feng, it was rare for him to be relaxed. Senior sister, many people are looking at us. Little Lu looked around cautiously from time to time. Of course, thanks to this junior brother, our colored Jade sect is famous this time. Pei Hong glanced sideways. Lin Feng smiled indifferently. Along the way, there were such gazes everywhere. They were mixed with curiosity and strong interest, as well as awe and envy. After experiencing the elite martial competition, his reputation had risen. Although he wasn't known by the whole city, he was still a little famous. As for colored Jade sect, it had already broken away from the title of trash sect. By the way, is Lay Down not coming? Lin Feng asked curiously. Don't worry about him. That little guy is obsessed with martial arts. He's not interested in other things. Pei Hong said casually. Lin Feng nodded. He had heard Pei Hong mention that Lei Dao's aptitude was quite strong. He was colored Jade sect's biggest hope in the future. Indeed, he had the potential and ability. Lin Feng looked at Pei Hong and asked, Then where are we going now? His knowledge of Green Smoke City was limited to in Ying's introduction. The only thing he knew about it was the 9 Dragons Coliseum. Why are you asking so many questions? Just follow me. Pei Hong smiled slyly. Lin Feng shook his head helplessly and smiled bitterly. He seemed to have made a wrong decision. As expected, Lin Feng was taken to shop after shop, clothing shop, jewelry shop, and was speechless. It wasn't that they spent a lot of money. They didn't even add up to 1 spirit coin. It was like plucking a hair from one's body. But it didn't suit his taste. A soft voice came from a luxurious women's clothing shop. Lin Feng turned his head and saw a charming short-haired girl staring at him with wide eyes. She had an extremely surprised expression. Lin Feng's eyes flashed slightly. He immediately remembered that the girl in front of him was the one who bought the 3-star immortal fruit from him that day. Qin Xianqian, Ji Xia's junior sister. What are you doing here? Linwen, Qin Xianqian said in surprise. Qin Xianqian suddenly looked at Pei Hong and the other 2 girls. She suddenly understood, and her expression changed as she looked at Lin Feng. How carefree. Qin Xianqian sneered with disdain. To think that my senior brother took this competition so seriously and cultivated in seclusion. Who would have thought that his opponent didn't take it seriously at all? Traveling with beauties. Must be very happy. Qin Xianqian mocked. Lin Feng smiled indifferently. He knew that Qin Xianqian had misunderstood, but there was no need to explain. In this situation, the more he explained, the worse it would get. Moreover, did he need to explain to her what he was doing? I really don't know why senior brother took you as an opponent. Qin Xianqian said disdainfully. In my opinion, you're no different from Lu Bao. You're so smug and lecherous. What nonsense are you talking about? Pei Hong ran over, her face red. Qin Qianqian's voice was so loud that it was difficult for the three girls not to hear it. However, Lin Feng stretched out his right hand and stopped Pei Hong. There was no need to let the misunderstanding grow. You want to win against my senior brother like this? Dream on. Qin Qianqian snorted coldly at Lin Feng. Her beautiful face was beautiful no matter what expression she had. I want to see what you look like when you lose tomorrow. With that, Qin Qianqian left. Pei Hong was left with a furious face. Pei Qing and little Lu were all a little uneasy. However, Lin Feng treated it as normal. His expression didn't change at all. It wasn't the first time that he had been misunderstood. Did it matter? As long as he didn't let himself down, that was enough. It's exactly 3 o'clock. Efficiency is very slow. Xiao Xiao still doesn't have time to write 3 chapters at it. If you like this work, you're welcome to vote for it, Qidian. Come. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 460. Lindigo. Pei Hong bit her lips. Feeling the atmosphere, a strong sense of regret emerged in her heart. Pei Hong wanted to apologize, but she couldn't say it. Little Lu lowered her head and rubbed her fingers like a child who had done something wrong. I'm sorry, Lindigo. Pei Qing looked apologetic and sighed. I've caused you to be misunderstood. Don't be silly. What does this have to do with you? Lin Feng smiled faintly. Looking at Qin Qianqian's back, he said softly, Moreover, I'm not familiar with her. What she thinks is her business. You're my friends. Lindigo, don't you like her? Little Lu asked curiously. Lin Feng laughed involuntarily. Why should I like her? Little Lu shrugged and pursed her lips. Because this big sister is beautiful and strong. Indeed, although the 3 from Caifei sect were considered beauties with unique temperaments, they paled in comparison to Qin Qianqian. Lin Feng smiled and shook his head. He rubbed Little Lu's head. But I think Little Lu is more beautiful than her. Really? Little Lu's eyes widened. Of course. Lin Feng smiled. When Little Lu grows up, you will definitely be more beautiful than that big sister. Little Lu likes Lin de Gu the most. Little Lu smiled contentedly. Then what about us? Pei Hong crossed her arms and snorted. Haha, you're much worse. Lin Feng said half-jokingly. What did you say? Pei Hong glared angrily, causing Pei Qing and Little Lu to laugh. The gloomy atmosphere from before instantly vanished. With Qin Qianqian's interference, the 3 girls also lost their interest in shopping. Lin Feng said he was lucky. He didn't mean to, so he had to thank Qin Qianqian. Otherwise, the 3 girls would have been in high spirits and would have strolled for a long time. Soon, with Pei Hong leading the way, Lin Feng and the others arrived at a new world. This was a metal world. The ground was covered with thick metal plates. Looking over, the multicolored giant building was filled with a luxurious aura, and its grade was quite high. Compared to the 9-Dragon Colosseum and Reflection Tower, the style of the buildings here was completely different. This must be the Green Smoke Martial City. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. According to Ying's introduction, Green Smoke Martial City was located in the center of Green Smoke City. It was a city within a city. Only martial artists could enter this place. That's right. Lindigo, the things you want to buy are definitely here. Pei Qing smiled. Lin Feng replied with a soft and looked around. Compared to Green Smoke City, the cultivators here were undoubtedly much stronger. Star River rank beings could be seen everywhere, and even Star Sea rank beings could be seen from time to time. It was just as Ning had said, this was the world of true martial artists. Lu's merchant house or Feng's merchant house? Pei Hong asked. Lin Feng pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, let's go to Feng's merchant house. Green Smoke Martial City's 2 major trading centers were run by the Feng and Lu families respectively. The 2 large merchant houses were about the same in terms of size and size. However, because of Lu Bao, he didn't like the Lu family very much. Okay. Pei Hong nodded and led the way. It's so big. Little Jade covered her mouth in surprise. Although it wasn't her first time in Green Smoke City, It was her first time entering this place. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled as he looked around. The towering buildings were packed with people. It was very lively. Let's go to the top floor. Lin Feng nodded. The top floor. Pei Hong and the other two girls covered their mouths in surprise. They were startled. Is this the legendary place, where even the cheapest item costs 1 soul coin? Little Jade exclaimed. It should be. Lin Feng smiled slightly. Both Feng's merchant house and Lu's merchant house had different levels. The first floor was suitable for ordinary martial artists. The second floor was slightly more expensive, and the third floor was more expensive. The prices climbed with each floor. Among them, the most expensive was the 7th floor. The top floor. The giant staircase in the middle was obvious. Lin Feng led the girls and slowly climbed up. It wasn't hard to find the way. Lindigo, do you want to buy soul tools or beast crystal essence? Pei Qing asked casually. Beast crystal essence? Lin Feng was slightly startled. What is that? It's a special type of mutated beast crystal. Pei Hong answered. Mutated beasts are formed from the energy of heaven and earth. As they grow older, they will slowly develop spiritual awareness in a mutated beast crystal essence. This is the source of beast crystal essence. So that's how it is. Lin Feng nodded. It seemed to be similar to demonic beasts. About 1/10 to 1/100th of mutated beasts have beast crystal essence of different purity. Pei Qing continued. Beast crystal essence can replace soul tools and merge with the battle god spirit. Because it has spiritual awareness, beast crystal essence can give the battle god spirit an ability. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. So that's how it is. He had heard about soul tools before. There are 3 aspects to merging with a soul tool. The first is the quality and power of the soul tool itself, which determines the degree of strengthening of the battle god spirit. The second is the basic ability that the soul tool brings. For example, the wind vortex can change direction at will. And the third is the tool spirit. Duo had said before that only soul tools with a tool spirit are truly worthy of being called soul tools. The tool spirit can activate the ability of the battle god spirit. That is the truly powerful ultimate move, soul skill. For example, the wind vortex's wind escape has saved his life several times. What's the difference between beast crystal essence and soul tools? Lin Feng asked curiously. Oh, Pei Qing muttered. They both have their advantages and disadvantages. Purely talking about strengthening the battle god spirit, because the beast crystal essence's purity is not high, it can't reach a perfect state. It's a level lower than soul tools. Also, the fusion of beast crystal essence is very simple. It won't cause any changes to the battle god spirit. Lin Feng nodded lightly, understanding in his heart. What Pei Qing meant was that beast crystal essence can't bring basic abilities to soul tools. But its consciousness is something soul tools don't have. The strength of soul skills is enough to make up for it. Pei Qing's eyes flashed. For example, the leopard-type beast crystal essence, when fused with the soul essence and heroic spirit, the soul skill will greatly increase the warrior's speed. For example, the bear-type beast crystal essence, when fused with the soul essence and spirit, the soul skill will greatly increase the warrior's strength, etc. So that's how it is. Lin Feng understood. In the battle with Old Crane before, and this time with Li Ming, both of them used soul skills to greatly increase their strength. He thought it was the soul tool's effect, but it was actually the beast crystal essence. Doesn't soul tool have a tool spirit? Lin Feng asked in surprise. Tool spirit? The 3 girls were all stunned. Don't joke around, Lin Feng. Pei Hong said casually. Making a soul tool have a tool spirit is harder than ascending to the heavens. Unless it goes through countless years, the soul tool will naturally have its own consciousness. Otherwise, in the entire Yanling Palace, I'm afraid there isn't a single tool forger that has this ability. Lin Feng's brows furrowed as he muttered to himself. He had always thought that the wind vortex was unremarkable, but from the looks of it, that wasn't the case. If that's the case, then wouldn't a soul tool with a tool spirit be able to sell for an astronomical price? Lin Feng asked. It's more than an astronomical price. Pei Qing smiled. Even an astronomical price has a price. I don't know about other places, but in the Yinling Palace, a soul tool with a tool spirit is a priceless treasure. An astronomical price was hard to come by. Lin Feng was amazed, but he sighed deeply in his heart. To him, this was rather bad news. Before he had the wind vortex, he might have been able to make do with the beast crystal essence, but now, it was like being used to eating exotic delicacies, but suddenly eating simple food. It would definitely be difficult for him to adapt. We'll see. Lin Feng's gaze turned cold. He wasn't in a hurry to make a decision. After all, his need for soul tools or beast crystal essence was not that strong. Maybe when we reach the Vermilion Bird Continent, everything will be solved. The 9 great regions of the human race, the 9 great continents of the southern region. The Vermilion Bird Continent and the Yinling Palace were completely different. At that time, there would definitely be a turnaround. Furthermore, according to his father, the Lin clan, that was an inherited artificer family. As they chatted, everyone quickly moved from the first floor to the 6th floor. There were no more stairs leading up. Compared to the crowded first floor, the 6th floor was undoubtedly much more spacious. Isn't the top floor 7? Lin Feng frowned slightly. He didn't remember wrongly. It's the 7th floor. Pei Hong nodded and looked around. The stairs might be nearby. Let's look around. All right, Lin Feng replied indifferently. As they walked, they looked around. There were very few martial artists on the 6th floor, and many goods could be clearly seen. Pei Hong and the other 2 girls widened their eyes and exclaimed from time to time. They had never been here before and had never seen so many expensive goods. For a moment, all the martial artists on the 6th floor were paying attention. Another group of people watching the show, making a fuss over nothing. What a bunch of country bumpkins. TSK, these girls are quite pretty. It must be this guy who is pretending to be rich. Everyone spoke one after another, full of mockery. They looked at Lin Feng with slight jealousy. Everyone instantly felt suffocated and their mouths twitched. It was him. Although Lin Feng had not entered the top 10, after the elite martial arts competition, his reputation was even greater than the top 10 martial artists. Not only because of his strength, but also because of his wealth. Including the last battle with Li Ming, Lin Feng had earned over 1,000 Douling coins. This kind of wealth was extremely rare in the entire Green Smoke City. It was comparable to the wealth of a large sect family. The goods on the 6th floor? Lin Feng could buy as many as he wanted. The martial artists remembered how they had laughed at him and felt embarrassed. It was as if they were the joke. However, Lin Feng did not have time to pay attention to them. At this time, he was looking for the stairs to the 7th floor. After a big circle, Xiao Lu's eyes finally lit up. She excitedly pointed to the front. Linda, go look. He looked over and finally found the only stairs at the end of the 6th floor. The stairs were made of bright gold and were filled with a sense of beauty and wealth. Even the floor was covered with a silver light. In front of the stairs, a thick red carpet was spotless. On both sides of the carpet, large and small jade beads were inlaid. It was very luxurious. Wow, so beautiful. Xiao Lu's eyes shone. We finally found this place. Pei Hong's heart was pounding. Everyone walked forward, and little Jade took the lead. Suddenly, Lin Feng frowned slightly. Finally, it's gone. The fever is gone. Children are really scared when they get sick. Thank you for your concern and understanding. Xiao Xiao is back. I will definitely write 3 chapters today. If I can't finish it, I will write it all night. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 461. Please stop. 2 martial artists with cold faces blocked the way. Pei Hong and the other 2 girls were all startled. Lin Feng stepped forward and asked, "What's going on?" "Sir, please show us your token." The two martial artists were dressed in standard uniforms, and their expressions were meticulous. Do I need a token to enter the top floor? Lin Feng frowned slightly. Yes. The tall martial artist's voice was cold. Unless you're an honorable customer of the Feng clan, you can't enter the top floor. Lin Feng felt a little awkward, and he didn't mention this that day. Thinking about it carefully, it wasn't hard to understand. After all, the Feng clan wasn't the only big business. Facing the competition of the Liu clan, the top products would be the key to victory. It would be stupid to expose all of their secrets. Without a token, I can't enter the top floor. Lin Feng shook his head slightly. It seems I can only settle for the second best. He didn't care too much. After all, he didn't specify what he wanted to buy. 6 floors should be enough. Just as he was about to turn around, suddenly, a burst of laughter rang out. Lin Feng turned his head and saw a familiar horse-faced man with many followers following behind him. He looked rather imposing. It was a young master of the Li clan, Li Liang, who had been defeated by him in the elite martial competition. Linwen, do you think a nouveau riche like you can enter the top floor? Li Liang snorted, raised his head, and patted his chest proudly. Don't think you can enter the upper class of Green Smoke City just because you got lucky this time. Let me tell you, Sayu sect is only this. Li Liang stretched out his right hand and pointed down with his thumb. The faces of the Sayu sect girls instantly turned green. What's there to be arrogant about? Pei Hong said disdainfully. That's right, a dog relying on its master's power. He's just a spoiled brat. Little Jade snorted. You recovered quickly after losing so miserably that day. Pei Qing chuckled. Li Liang's face instantly turned green and white. His expression was extremely ugly. Thinking of the battle on the day of the elite martial competition, he could feel the mocking gazes of others on the street. You. Li Liang pointed at the girls and glanced at Lin Feng. However, he avoided looking at him directly. It was as if he was looking up at a powerful cultivator. With his chest heaving up and down, Li Liang gritted his teeth and snorted timidly. I'm not going to lower myself to your level. Let's go. As he spoke, Li Liang did not dare to look at Lin Feng as he led his followers in. He didn't know why, but now that he saw Lin Feng, his fear inexplicably deepened. She wanted to stay as far away from him as possible. But, please show us your token. The two warriors blocked the way. Li Liang's eyes widened. He pointed at himself and roared, Look at who I am. Please show us your token. The two warriors' voices were still cold. Aye. Li Liang's face flushed red. Feeling the gazes of the people around him, he said in exasperation, Are you blind? I'm Li Liang. Look carefully, young Master Li of the Li family. His right thumb kept pointing at himself. Li Liang was so angry that his chest heaved up and down. Please show us your token. The two warriors were like robots as they repeated this sentence for the third time. In an instant, the crowd roared with laughter. Li Liang's face was pale. He had lost all face. Young Master Li of the Li family? Who knows you? Pei Hong sneered. As expected of a rich second generation. Without his father, he's just a piece of trash. Xiao Lu was still angry about Li Liang's words about Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at Li Liang with a faint smile. He did not mock him. However, just looking at him like this made Li Liang's face turn from pale to red. His whole body trembled, but he could not say a word. At this moment, there was a series of light footsteps. From the top of the golden stairs, a row of warriors in the same clothes walked down in a hurry. In an instant, Li Liang's ugly face recovered a little. The corners of his mouth twitched as he forced a smile. You finally know who I am. Li Liang looked around and said to the crowd, Look, the Feng family is so ostentatious. They're here to welcome me. Do you know? I'm the young master of the Li family. Everyone looked on in silence. Li Liang smiled awkwardly. However, his smile froze in an instant. The warrior in the lead walked past Li Liang without even looking at him. He walked to Lin Feng and bowed slightly. Sorry, are you Mr. Linwen? I am. Lin Feng nodded with a puzzled look in his eyes. I'm the supervisor here, Feng Zheng. Please forgive me for offending you just now, Feng Zheng said apologetically. As he spoke, he glared at the two warriors and shouted, "Why aren't you apologizing to Mr. Linwen?" "Sorry." The two warriors bowed. "It's okay," Lin Feng said immediately, but he was confused. He didn't know Fang Zheng. It was his first time here. How could Lin Feng didn't understand, but the three girls widened their eyes in shock. At this moment, there were whispers around them. They looked at Lin Feng with reverence. Although Lin Wen was famous, he wasn't treated like a VIP by the Fang family. Li Liang's face was red. He was like a clown, unable to move forward or back away. It was as if he was sitting on a carpet of needles. His legs were numb. "This way, Lord Linwen." Fang Zheng gestured. The warriors behind him retreated to the sides and welcomed them. It was a grand display. "Okay." Lin Feng nodded. Although he was puzzled, since they were welcoming him, he should go with the flow. Besides, he wanted to go to the top floor anyway. Under the envious gazes of the crowd, Lin Feng walked up. The three girls behind him felt proud. They smiled and followed him. Li Liang was left with an ugly expression. His face was twisted and pale. He wanted to find a hole to hide in and embarrass himself. He walked up the stairs and soon reached the 7th floor. Compared to the 6th floor, it was a completely different world. It was dazzling and luxurious. Lin Feng looked around. Just as he climbed up the stairs, his eyes lit up. A beautiful girl in a long dress was standing in front of him. Mr. Lin Wen is here." Fang Zheng cupped his hands. "You may leave." The beautiful girl waved her hand. Fang Zheng bowed and left. Lin Feng stared at the beautiful girl in front of him. She had a slender figure and big eyes. Her light makeup showed her graceful beauty. Her snow-white skin was full of mature charm. She was like a blooming peony, enchanting enough to topple cities. Obviously, according to Fang Zheng's words, welcoming him seemed to be. It was an order from the girl in front of him. "Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Fang and I." Her crisp voice carried a pleasant melody. Fang and I smiled, making people feel like they were bathing in a spring breeze. Lin Feng didn't feel anything, but the three girls widened their eyes and covered their mouths in shock. Everyone in Greensmoke City knew Fang Ni's name. "Hello, Linwen." Lin Feng nodded. "Do you know me? Would you believe me if I said I didn't know you?" Fang and I said with a smile, startling Lin Feng. Fang and I smiled but didn't answer. "What does Mr. Linwen want to buy?" Lin Feng looked at Fang and I with a burning gaze. Obviously, the beautiful girl in front of him had a high status here. Although he didn't know what her intentions were, he was very clear about his own intentions. "I want to buy the star condensation art," Lin Feng said lightly. He paused and added, "The highest grade one." Fang Ni's eyes flashed with surprise, but it disappeared in an instant. "Mr. Linwen, have you broken through?" Fang and I asked softly. "Yes." Lin Feng nodded. It wasn't a secret, so there was no need to hide it. But in Fang Ni's ears, it was completely different. For a family force, a galaxy-level martial artist and a galaxy-level martial artist were two completely different things. Her eyes flickered. At first, she promised her father to fulfill her responsibility, including this meeting with Lin Feng. But now, Fang Ni's thoughts were completely different. Regardless of Lin Feng's status in her father's eyes, she would try to recruit a galaxy-level martial artist. Moreover, Lin Feng was so young. Of course. Fang and I smiled faintly. The best star condensation art sold by the Fang family's merchant house is human level 7th grade. Lin Feng's expression didn't change. He knew this very well. It was the same for the soul attraction art, which could be bought with Dolan coins. It was human level 7th grade and above. If you wanted to buy something above the middle grade, there was only one word: difficult. "I won't keep you in suspense." Fang and I smiled. In the elite martial arts competition, the prize prepared is the human level 5th grade star condensation art, star separation art. But here, the best star condensation art is the human level 6th grade mystery sunflower art. "Is it for sale?" Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The human level 6th grade was middle grade compared to the human level 5th grade. But compared to the human level 7th grade, it was a whole level higher. It was completely different. Clap, clap. Fang and I gently clapped her hands. Soon, a martial artist behind him presented a brocade box with both hands. Lin Feng reached out to take it and gently opened it. Shockingly, what entered his eyes was a manual with a thin golden border, and Lin Feng was instantly tempted as he gazed at the 4 large words "enigmatic sunflower star technique" written on it. This was it. How much is it? Lin Feng looked at Fong and I. Fong and I smiled and shook her head. It's just a star condensation art. Just take it as a token of my appreciation. Mr. Lin Wen, please accept it. This. Lin Feng looked at Fong and I and immediately smiled. Thank you, Miss Fong. It would be impolite for me to refuse. Fong Ni's smile remained. She glanced at Pei Hong and the other 2 girls and gently opened her red lips. I wonder if the 3 of you are interested in visiting the top floor of my shop? If there is something you like and the price is not high, I can give it to you. The 3 girls looked at each other, their eyes full of surprise. Of course. Pei Hong did not refuse. Great. Thank you, Sister Fong and I. Xiaolu smiled sweetly. You're welcome. Fong and I maintained a faint smile and gently clapped her hands. Come, show the 3 guests around. Yes. The martial artist behind her responded. In an instant, Pei Hong and the other 2 left in high spirits. Fong and I gently waved her hand, and the other martial artists also left. Only Fong and I and Lin Feng were left in a large space. Go ahead, Miss Fong and I. Lin Feng smiled. Second update, Xiao Xiao stayed up all night writing. My baby's fever has finally subsided. Thank goodness. Xiao Xiao is very happy and excited now. That's great. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 462. Her intention was already very clear. If he couldn't see through it, then he would be too stupid. Lin Feng looked at Fong and I with a curious gaze, but in his heart, he also wanted to know what was so special about him. He deserved her attention. Fong and I smiled and didn't pretend. If so, then I will get straight to the point. This time, Fong and I brings the greatest sincerity of the Fong clan, hoping that Mr. Lin will join the Fong clan and work together. Mr. can state any conditions. As long as the Fong clan can do it, everything is negotiable. Her voice was very soft and dull, but it was like a heavy cannonball falling down. Lin Feng laughed involuntarily. He didn't expect that he would be recruited. The power of a clan was different from that of a sect. What a clan valued more was benefits. Because no matter how strong the recruited warrior was, he would always have the status of a guest warrior. The master would only be a direct descendant of the clan. However, what a guest warrior could get would generally exceed that of sect. Especially in terms of monetary and material rewards, the clan would not hesitate in the slightest. The conditions proposed by Fong and I were quite attractive. Such a huge amount of recruitment was very rare, especially in the Fong clan. The Fong clan, together with the Liu clan, was a giant that controlled the Green Smoke City. Not to mention other things, the value of the Fong clan alone was hard to estimate. As the ruler, the Fong clan had too many resources, and their wealth was even more shocking. Fong and I smiled indifferently, looking straight at Lin Feng. She was very confident that Lin Feng would definitely agree. Under these conditions, almost no warrior would refuse. But I appreciate Miss Feng's kindness. Lin Feng smiled lightly, neither servile nor overbearing. Looking at the surprised expression of the beautiful girl in front of him, Lin Feng shook his head lightly, but he had to refuse. He still had many things to do. How could he enter the Fong clan and be a guest warrior? Are you really determined to stay in the small Sci-Fei sect? Fong Ni's voice was slightly low, and her brows were slightly knitted. Lin Feng was slightly startled, but he knew that Fong and I had misunderstood. Thinking about it, his current identity as a disciple of the Sci-Fei sect was quite coincidental. Lin Feng made a soft sound of acknowledgement and did not deny it. In comparison, this reason might be more convincing. No secret manuals, no spiritual treasures, no divine weapons. Fong Ni's voice became a lot heavier. She sounded a little angry. Do you know that the Color Jade sect is poor? We don't have anything. As if she felt that her tone was too harsh, Fong Mi's chest heaved up and down. She softened her voice and said, "Let's not talk about other things. Take the star fusion art, for example. That Sayu sect doesn't even have a 7th grade mortal grade star fusion art. And Lin 1, if you join the Fong family, you can look at nearly 10 6th, 5th, and even 4th grade star condensation arts of the mortal step." Fong Ni bit her lip, her eyes shining. Furthermore, as long as you are completely loyal to the Fong clan and make contributions, you can even get the one and only human grade star fusion art in Greensmoke City. There was a huge difference between a 3rd grade human rank and a 4th grade human rank. The difference between high and medium. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. He would be lying if he said he wasn't moved. 4-star ocean level martial artists, astral power was the most important thing. Therefore, the star fusion art had to be better and of a higher grade. This was not only related to one's own strength, but also the speed of cultivation and the possibility of advancing to the Star Lord level in the future. However, thank you for your kindness, Miss Fong, but I don't have the fortune to enjoy it. Lin Feng said apologetically. No matter how moved he was, he wouldn't sell himself for a 3rd grade mortal grade star fusion art. Guest martial artists might be able to obtain great benefits, but they would lose their freedom. You. Fong Ni bit her lip and said angrily, "You blockhead, do you know how important a martial artist's strength is?" Fong Ni wasn't willing to give up. She tried to tempt him. "If you join the Fong family will do everything in our power to cultivate you into the strongest martial artist." What about the Sayu sect? Indeed, in comparison, they weren't on the same level. "Please forgive me." Mississippi Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. Looking at each other, Fong and I sighed. "Forget it. Everyone has their own aspirations. I won't force you." Saying this, she got up. Her soft long dress showed off her slender figure. Fong Ni's self-restraint was really good. She nodded and said, "Fong and I still has something to do, so I'll leave first. Mr. Lin 1, please feel free. If there's anything you like, I'll give you a 10% discount." Considered a small gift from Fong and I. "Okay." Lin Feng also got up. Watching Fong and I leave, Lin Feng felt a bit of admiration. Although Fong and I was a woman, she handled things naturally and generously. She really left a good impression. But he really couldn't join the Fong family. 3rd grade mortal grade star fusion art, TSK. Lin Feng's eyes showed a bit of desire, but he shook his head. If he could get it, it would undoubtedly be beneficial to him. If it's not mine, it's useless to force it. Lin Feng looked around. This top floor was extremely luxurious and breathtaking. Looking from afar, he saw many 2-star spirit treasures, weapons, and all kinds of secret manuals neatly arranged in crystal pillars. It was very dazzling. "Let's go see them." Lin Feng smiled. "Wow, it's so beautiful." Xiaolu blinked her big eyes and looked around. "This is..." Pei Hong suddenly stopped and looked at the shining whip in the crystal pillar in front of her. Her eyes were full of desire. "Miss Pei, do you want this hidden wind whip?" Fang Zheng asked respectfully. Fang Zheng had been a manager for many years and was very good at reading people's expressions. Pei Hong choked slightly. Just as she was about to answer, she saw the price clearly marked on the crystal pillar. 10 soul coins. Blushing slightly, Pei Hong gently bit her lips and said embarrassedly, "Does this hidden wind whip count as the little thing that Miss Fong mentioned?" Fang Zheng maintained his professional smile and shook his head. "I'm sorry, Miss Pei. The little thing that Miss Fong mentioned is between 1 and 2 soul coins." The top floor was very quiet. No matter how soft the voice was, it could be heard very far. Not far away, 2 men in luxurious clothes couldn't help but look over when they heard the voice. There was a slight smile in their eyes. "Oh." Pei Hong felt their gazes and immediately felt embarrassed. Her face turned even redder. "TSK, don't come here if you can't afford it." A mocking voice sounded. Not far away, a beautiful woman dressed seductively seemed to be talking to herself, but everyone knew who she was talking about. The seductive woman gently shook the arm of the short and fat rich merchant beside her. She said coquettishly in a voice that gave people goosebumps, "Dear, I want that XINU necklace." Okay. The short and fat rich merchant narrowed his eyes and smiled so widely that he couldn't close his mouth. Pei Hong bit her lips tightly. Her expression was extremely ugly. But here, she could only endure it. Everyone here was of high status in Green Smoke City. The seductive woman was a famous social butterfly in the city, Meiji Huadan. It was rumored that she was extremely skilled in martial arts and had an affair with many rich merchants in the city. She had very strong interpersonal relationships. As for the short and fat rich merchant, although he looked ordinary, he was one of the 10 richest people in Green Smoke City, Zhu Yukai. Someone come. Zhu Yukai's expression turned serious as he shouted. He stuck out his belly and looked very impressive. He pointed at the heart-shaped necklace in the crystal pillar. He glanced at the price and felt a slight pain in his heart. But when he felt the softness on his arm, Zhu Yukai said heroically, "This necklace, I want the necklace." A calm voice sounded. Everyone was startled. Pei Hong and the other two looked over. Instantly, expressions of pleasant surprise appeared on their faces. In the distance, Lin Feng had an indifferent smile on his face as he slowly walked over. Meiji Huadan stared at Lin Feng with her beautiful eyes, which shone brightly. "Brat, you..." Zhu Yukai felt that he had lost all face. He said angrily, "This necklace, double." Lin Feng stared at Zhu Yukai and said in an unsteady tone. Instantly, Zhu Yukai's face turned pale. This XINU necklace wasn't cheap. It cost 30 soul coins. If it was doubled, it would cost 60 soul coins. It was a huge sum. "Brat, is there something wrong with your head?" Zhu Yukai said angrily. 3 times. Lin Feng's expression was calm, but the words he said shocked everyone. Not far away, the eyes of the 2 luxuriously dressed men immediately lit up. They began whispering to each other. Zhu Yukai's fat jiggled as he said disdainfully, "Take it if you want. A crappy necklace costs 90 soul coins. There must be something wrong with your head. I don't care about this bit of money." Lin Feng smiled faintly and looked at Fang Zheng. "Help me take it out." "All right, Mr. Lin Wen." Fang Zheng stepped forward and opened the crystal pillar to take out the necklace. Lin Feng extended his hand to take it. He sensed a faint water elemental aura. This XINU necklace was a rather good 2-star numinous treasure. It could be used for defense and survival. Although 30 soul coins was more expensive than the market price, it was still worth it. However, 90 soul coins was indeed too high. It was almost the price of a 3-star numinous treasure. But did he care? Lin Wen, Meiji Huadan muttered the name softly. Her beautiful eyes flashed with the desire to hunt. Zhu Yukai was taken aback as he felt the softness on his arm loosen. Meiji Huadan brought with her a fragrant wind. She walked forward gracefully and came in front of Lin Feng. She bent her knees slightly and gave an extremely charming smile. "Hello, young Master Lin. I'm Huadan." However, Lin Feng acted as though he did not see her. He held the XINU necklace and walked past Huadan. He did not even glance at her from the corner of his eye. Instantly, Huadan's face twitched. Her body seemed to be petrified. Pei Hong and Pei Qing revealed joyful smiles. "Linda, you are back," Little Jade said happily. Lin Feng smiled as he stroked Little Jade's head. He looked at Pei Hong and, as though he was doing it deliberately, he picked up the XINU necklace and put it on for Pei Hong. "Senior sister, this is for you. Thank you for taking care of me all this time." "Wow." Little Jade's eyes flashed with envy as she screamed. Pei Qing also looked at Pei Hong with sparkling eyes. She was filled with envy. Lin Feng looked at Pei Qing and Little Jade and said with a smile, "Don't worry. How can I favor one over the other? Everyone has one." With that said, Lin Feng looked at Fang Zheng and said slowly, "Steward Fang Zheng, please lead the way. Help me choose 2 similar necklaces." There were some things that were best avoided. It would cause unnecessary misunderstandings. Pei Qing and Little Jade were instantly overjoyed. All right. Fang Jing's eyes lit up. He liked meeting a forthright customer like Lin Feng the most. This way, please. Let's go. Lin Feng looked at the three women and smiled lightly. Everyone immediately left, leaving behind Mei Ji, Hua Dan, with an ugly expression. Her smile was extremely awkward. Darling, just now. Hua Dan looked at Zhu Yukai and squeezed out an extremely charming smile. Get lost, stinking whore. Zhu Yukai coldly snorted and immediately left. Gazes gathered around her. They were filled with ridicule and mockery. Hua Dan's face flushed red. She wished she could find a hole to hide in. She wanted to throw away the tangerine and pick up the watermelon, but not only did she fail to pick up the watermelon, she even threw away the tangerine. She had lost all her dignity. Yesterday, I fell asleep at 4 o'clock. Sweat. This chapter will be added, and I'll continue with the third update today. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.